Good day, folks. Good day, folks. Look, I apologise. We're late today. We're 15 minutes late today. That's why we skipped the countdown. Yesterday didn't happen. We had to cancel that last thing. So if there were a few people looking forward to yesterday midday, the Total Hotspur boys had to cancel last minute family problems and that. But they'll be back next weekend for sure. Saturday midday. Few issues backstage with Elias. Elias, you all right now? You lagging? Is the lag gone?
I think it's better now.
Perfect.
Yeah, there we go.
No lag. We've got Thiago coming on later as well. You don't see Thiago on too many streams these days. He's a busy guy at university and stuff, but he'll be with us. He's currently watching Vasco da Gama, I think, his Brazilian side. I'm not sure if they've finished yet. When they finish, they'll be on. So thanks for joining us, everyone. I just wanted to put this up before we get started today. I think yes.
Yeah, but Tom, I think the fella's already sussed you, mate.
Hey?
I mean, it is your birthday today, so.
Yeah, no, it is my birthday. It is my birthday. I've been on the sauce. I've been on cholesterol because all I've had is meat and whiskey basically the last 24 hours. So if I do pass out, don't worry. Dan's part of the Hotspur Hood now. He'll carry on. We've got a few banners, but yeah, it's been a heavy 24 hours. But no, let's put things right. A couple of days back, it got announced, I think, before the Man United game started, or during, or something like that.
Before the Man United game.
Yeah, it was in and around it, wasn't it? The great Bobby Charlton passed away. I mean, as you can see here, it's unbelievable what he done in his career. Survived the Munich air disaster to become England's most iconic footballer. I've seen videos of him in the late 1999 training with the team, like getting ready for their treble. They just before they won the treble. Like, it was still in training, like helping the players, coaching and stuff. Like, incredible in his 60s, 70s. So yeah, won the World Cup, won the European Cup, won the Ballon d'Or, which I wasn't aware of, to be honest. Knighted by Queen Elizabeth, a legend and a gentleman. Everyone that's ever sort of seen him, come in contact with him, even friends. When I used to do scouting situation, a lot of people used to meet him and say they give you all the time in the world. He's the nicest guy in the world. And I think he's the last of the Busby boys. I think he's the last of the Busby boys, that great Man United team back in the day. What happened with the Munich air disaster and that. So
being ambassador at Spurs and at Man U and everything, and that he's been a top fella.
And they say, I think Neville said it. I think Gary Neville said it. He's like the greatest ambassador for sport on and off the pitch. So very, very sad passing. But he's had a good innings. 86 years old, and I'm sure he'll have a memorial at some stage, if not at Old Trafford. Or around, it should be at Wembley. Also, he's one of England's greatest, isn't he? One of England's greatest ever players. So only right that we mentioned that. Yeah. Before we get into the meat of tonight's show, it's not going to be a long show, but it's pretty obvious what we're going to be discussing. It's going to be, the news is good. Son and Romero look like they're going to make it tomorrow for the Fulham game. We're going to have a little venture over the weekend's results. There's some very interesting games. That's for sure. Arsenal, Chelsea. I hope everyone watched that because it was a great game. It was a great game. Even the game today was fantastic. Villa 4, West Ham 1. So we're looking at that. Look at a few of the weekend results too. Elias, you're with us now. You're all good to go. How you doing, my friend?
Yep, I'm good. Yeah.
What's happening with your channel these days? It's moving forward, right?
I've been doing content. Yeah, it's just that I've been lagging a little bit lately. Cause work has been pretty busy. So yeah, it's just that scheduling streams and inviting guests and all that. It's been a little bit of a hassle. That's all. So yeah, but I am planning to get onto the rhythm a little bit more. So let's see how it goes. Yeah.
And of course, Elias, Step Up Spurs. The avatar name there, even if you're not as busy as you once was, people release a little bit of content and they get back into it and start releasing loads. So whatever happens, make sure you subscribe to my friend down here, Step Up Spurs, Elias. Okay, do you know what? We're going to talk. In fact, I think I'll look at this first. I'll look at the weekend's results up first. I'll put a share screen up. Let's have a little looky. So obviously, Arsenal, Chelsea. What a big game! What a game that was. Did you watch it, Dan? Did you watch the game? Obviously,
yes, I did. And Chelsea is all I can say is they basically went Spursy. That's exactly the sort of fit. What they did is exactly what we have been renowned for doing over the past, God knows how long. And I think it was down to Poch. If he wouldn't have took off his strikers and just sat back in defence, and they would have carried on giving Arsenal a bit of hassle, that wouldn't have happened. They basically gave it to him on a plate. So, well, come at us, basically, and they did. And cool. 2 goals that looked really good was also down to really, really poor goalkeeping. I mean, that one that Rice banged in, yeah, if you look at it, it was a good one, but the keeper should not have been where he was. If he would have been where he was meant to be, he would have got that easy. And Raya, wow. I'm just glad we haven't got him.
What was worse out of those two for you?
Personally, I think Raya had an awful game. He just didn't look like he knew whether he was coming or going most of the time. He's pushing really far up the pitch now, which is obviously what they wanted him for, to play him as more of a sweeper keeper, because Ramsdale, he's more of what I would say you call an old school keeper that stays on his line most of the time.
Yeah.
Like an old Peter Cech or whatever else. Not saying he's of the same quality, but Ramsdale at times comes, not Ramsdale, sorry, Raya at times, he was coming well too far off his line. But I think he's just doing what he's been told to do. And you can see he weren't safe. And that goal they conceded because of it, I don't even think it was a shot. I think in the back of the net and looked like a good goal.
You could see by his eyes, couldn't you? You could see by his eyes. It was a cross.
Because I think that was meant to be a cross that just went totally wrong. That actually looked good as a goal, basically. Exactly. But it was a good game to watch. A good game of football. I can't stand either team with a passion, but I can't have it that they both lose. But I would have rather Chelsea won that for obvious reasons. But it was a good game. Chelsea had it on a plate. And 2 other points I'll make as well. Saka, that fella's burnt out. Personal opinion,
I didn't think he was going to be back that quickly. I think they rushed him back, to be honest with you. He was injured, wasn't he?
You could see he was basically knackered. And Odegaard, they've been going on about how he's the best playmaker in the Premiership. He was a ghost again. He disappeared again, like he has basically done all season. I don't rate him as high as they make him. Good player, but he's no world-class player. He's no Kevin De Bruyne, like they're saying and that. And he's showing it. It's starting to show now.
Elias, did you see the game, Elias?
Yes, I watched the game, and I think I think that one of the positives to draw from that is like the Poch ball is finally kicking into Chelsea. I think, like if you watch the first half and the most of the second half as well, the way the intensity they were playing, you can see that they're getting the hang of those tactics, and they've started to gel a lot more as a squad. Though I still feel that personnel wise, I don't think there's the right team for the Poch ball still. But
Elias, just to sort of butt in there a little bit, I just want to say, what do you think Poch ball is? Would you say it's quite similar to Ange ball?
Slightly different, I would say. Slightly different. I think Ange ball is slightly more of a high press, whereas I think Poch, his midfielders are more of a key. And I think he builds the game a lot more in the middle. The intensity you can see is winning the ball in the middle and then on wide areas. And you could see that job being done quite a lot yesterday by I think Cucurella, and then Enzo Fernandez was kind of good. Cole Palmer,
and Enzo had a good game.
Who?
Enzo had a good game.
Yeah, Enzo had a good game, and then Palmer had a really good game as well. So you could see that link up play between the fullbacks, the midfielders, and then the forwards. And I think that's what I feel the Poch ball is like. How in back in our days he used to have Wanyama, Dembele, all of them combining with the forwards of forward line of Son and Kane. So this was something that was lacking for a long time at Chelsea. But now what I saw in the Chelsea game is a lot more intensity that you didn't see under even Tuchel, I would say. But it's beginning to come back, and I think yesterday they really posed Arsenal a threat. However, I think the mentality is not there for Chelsea. They don't know how to. They need to kind of improve in their defense, and I think their goalie is as awful as David Raya. I think we kind of dodged both the bullets because we were linked with both these goalies and we didn't get them. Chelsea went in for Sanchez, and then Arsenal went in for Raya. I think they can have them. I think I'm kind of happy with what we have as a goalkeeper in form of Guglielmo
I'm
Vicario.
very happy.
I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, at the time, I didn't want Raya. I never wanted Raya. I thought he was too small. I didn't want to keep her like Lloris. We've had that before. But you know, my point was at the time we bid for both Raya first, and then we bid for Vicario. It turns like I think Elias puts it perfectly. We dodged a bullet with Raya, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
I think, to be fair, other than this game, he's played well. But the first 2 or 3. That's why he took Ramsdale out of the. He took Ramsdale out of
but
the 11.
Raya hasn't been good since he hasn't played good. He's
His
had an
first
alright
bad
game or
performance
whatever.
was against us, wasn't it? He had a little bit of a dodgy game. He still made one good save, one really good save, but he had a dodgy game against us, and then a dodgy game. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on him with him and Ramsdale back there. It sort of reminds me of Friedel and Lloris with their season together. There's a lot of pressure on both because Friedel came in as our first team goalkeeper from the season before. Lloris was signed, obviously, as a first team goalkeeper. So if the goalkeeper is good enough and they've got the personality and the quality, one of them will come through. I wouldn't be surprised if Ray has dropped now. It's not our problem. It's not our issue.
Well, one thing I do notice on a lot of the other channels and that, there's not many Arsenal supporters that want Raya in. I'm glad we dodged him personally.
Yeah, I didn't want Raya. And I didn't know enough anywhere near enough about Vicario to say that this should be our keeper either. But it's true. I mean, Sanchez at Chelsea, I did not see that coming. I did not see Sanchez going to Chelsea. To be fair, I didn't see Onana going to Man United. I mean, some of the decisions that the top 4 or 5 have made in terms of strikers and goalkeepers have been very, very poor. Man United, why didn't they look at Osimhen? Why didn't they go for Kane? There's an obvious opportunity there for Man United. They went for Højlund and Onana. A lot of the
see Onana though at Inter last season, he had a banging season. He was good.
For Ajax, his first 2 years, he was magnificent, Onana. But 51 million. I don't know, one good season because he was out for his drugs ban, wasn't he? So he's had
8 months. I think that was 8 or 11 months.
But
it's another one. I would have personally liked to go for Onana because he was that good at Inter, and obviously I follow Inter, and he had some banging games out there.
But he's eccentric, isn't he? He's very eccentric. Very eccentric.
And I had enough of that with Lloris, so we go for the level-headed geezer now that we got, and I'm happy with that.
Eccentricity is a statistic I love to mention. Obviously, if you watch Football Manager, you'll know Football Manager eccentricity is a big part of it. It's the first thing you look for. One of the first things I look for at a goalkeeper is you need low eccentricity, and Onana's is up there. Let's say that that's for sure. Sorry, Elias.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say that I was having the chat with one of the Arsenal guys, and he was saying that what do you make of Raya and Sanchez? I think in their prime, or in their at this age of goalkeepers, which is like 27 onwards, I think they say that it's like the prime of goalkeepers where they are much more experienced and they are much more aware. At that age, I don't know how old is Raya and how old is Sanchez, but they are not looking like that kind of prospects like what Hugo Lloris was at his time in his prime. I think saves wise or reflexes wise, I think Lloris is still kind of better than Sanchez. I would say Sanchez is not that great.
No, Lloris for me is not even good enough to be Premiership. Lloris is done and dusted, mate. He's finished a long time ago. And
now
he just got worse. He's been done for about 3 years, I think. I mean, I wanted to get rid of him 3 seasons ago because you could see he was erratic, was an understatement.
This is the thing. He was dodgy 3 years ago. What happened was when his contract was coming to an end, he had a really good 4 months. And the problem was with a goalkeeper at 34, 35 years of age, any player at 34, 35 years of age, you give him a year maximum. We give him a 2.5-year contract. We gave him a 2.5-year contract extension. That's why he's still with us now, Lloris. That's why he's still with us now. We should have his 100 grand off the wage bill, but he's still sitting there with 100 grand. It's poor recruitment, not just the players we signed, but not being able to get rid of players has been one of the biggest issues under Levy over the last 4 or 5 years. And Lloris fits into that mode again. As Dan said, he's sort of finished fair few years ago. I want to say hello to Thiago. Big up, my friend. Don't worry, Thiago. We are going to talk Spurs, but we have to wrap up the weekend. A lot happened. So we were just going through a couple of the games. You just joined us for the first one. We obviously were mentioning we mentioned the game Arsenal-Everton. I'm not sure if you saw it or not. So did you watch Arsenal Everton? If so, what did you make of it? And of course, what was Vasco's score? Because I know you came a little bit late.
You mean Liverpool Everton? You mean Liverpool Everton?
I mean Arsenal Chelsea. What am I talking about? I mean Arsenal Chelsea, not Liverpool.
Arsenal Chelsea.
Thiago. But Thiago, how did Vasco do?
How's everyone? Hope you're all good.
All good, brother.
I'm cool, mate.
It's funny because it's spring and it's freezing cold here in Rio, so things are different.
It's fucking freezing now,
And
It's bloody cold here as well, and it's pissing down.
It's never cold
it's
here.
really cloudy. It's not raining, but it's about to rain. Unfortunately, Vasco lost. We had an injury to our main player, and then an individual mistake, we considered the goal. But we were the better team, and I think, of course, I'm not happy with the defeat because we lost to our main rivals. But I'm still hopeful we're gonna stay up, given how we started this season. But about Arsenal and Chelsea, I watched the game yesterday. Stuff. I was just on Twitter just as it came on, and I saw a stat about the goal threat of both teams. And when you look at that, it's like Arsenal, like only one or two from Chelsea. And it's weird because I thought Chelsea actually played well yesterday. I think it was their best game of the season. I think they were able to utilize Odegaard really well. And I think that's the main point of their game. That's why they were so successful, in my opinion.
Exactly. That's why they were 2-0 up, and quite frankly, they threw it away.
And a lot of people have been talking about Raya. I mean, let's be honest. Everybody knows Mudryk was trying to cross. He was getting ready for a cross, and then halfway the ball, he saw the ball was going into the goal, and he couldn't do anything. I wouldn't put that as a mistake from Raya. But
Raya shouldn't have been where he was.
No, I don't.
To be fair, I do agree with Thiago here. I thought it was a little bit like the David Seaman Ronaldinho goal. It went in. It looked bad, but you don't expect the ball to be there. You never ever expect the ball to be there. So you're already coming out looking for the cross. You're coming out looking for the cross. So
and sometimes the situation isn't even like football. Even if you're a professional footballer, maybe sometimes the situation is just physics. You think the ball is going one way, but when you realize where the ball really is going, it's just too late for you to go. And
you've got to predict, haven't you? Look at goalkeepers at penalties. You almost certainly got to predict before the ball's hit. So you've got to take a risk one way or another.
And he saw that Mudryk was going to cross, so he was predicting the ball to go a completely different way, but when he realized the ball was going into the goal, it was too late. But I think Arsenal still showed that they can score goals, that they can fight back, of course. Then Robert Sanchez, that was a mistake for me. He could have just booted the ball forward, but he tried to pass out of their defense and he just gave away a goal.
I think they both did it. I mean, I see Raya did it once or twice, passed it a bit to the wrong person, and that's what I mean. I think both of these keepers at the moment are looking shady as. Confidence is not one thing they've both got at the minute.
I saw a lot of Arsenal fans saying that Raya needs to be dropped now.
Well, they can make that choice, can't they? Because they've got Ramsdale is a very good keeper behind him.
Yeah, it's a discussion that could go a long way because when Raya arrived, everybody was saying Ramsdale needed to be dropped because he was the shaky goalkeeper of the situation, and now Raya is the one. True. So, do they have two shaky goalkeepers at the moment?
Another point, quick, I'll add to that is, Tom, Saliba give away another penalty. That's definitely going to help on the stats, is it?
On the penalty stats. On the penalty stats.
Saliba has. You all may not believe it, but Saliba over the per 90 has conceded more penalties than Eric Dyer. Just so you know.
Than Romero.
Well, Eric Dyer doesn't go for tackles, though, does he? He runs away. So that must be
exactly.
That must be part of it. Yeah.
And he has more. Saliba has more errors leading to goal than Eric Dyer as well. By the way.
Eric Dyer
must be better than Eric Dyer, right? Yeah. So that's what. So Saliba
I'm not saying that.
Eric Dyer must be better than Saliba. This is the argument we had the other day. Because someone's got slightly worse, they must be better. So
Yeah, but
No, there are
Romero
certain
and
stats.
Dyer
Dyer
is
is
a bit
better than
different.
Saliba. Dyer is better than Saliba.
Romero is definitely better than Saliba. I think Dyer, no, I won't say that, but there are
No.
certain stats.
Oh,
Certain
stats.
stats.
You know the stats. You got to use the stats. You got to stick with the stats. If you bring the stats up, you got to stick with the stats, man.
Yeah,
Come on now.
one talking about. I mean,
Certain-
everyone's more useful if you just bloody stick in there as a piece.
Dan, Elias is Dyer's biggest supporter. Elias is
Dyer-
Dyer's biggest supporter.
Well,
Trust me.
mate,
If
well,
there's a
then we'll
big
have
Dyer supporter in the
confrontation,
community,
fella.
it's this guy.
Dyer is on the same level as Richarlison. Fucking useless.
I
Get
agree.
rid of
I
him.
agree.
Get him
No.
out.
No, my point is, I'll just be fair. Where you have to be fair to the players as well. Like, he is not worse than Sanchez. Like, Sanchez was worse. Then I would say, in terms of errors leading to goals, he's still better than Saliba to a certain extent. Like Saliba, I think Arsenal fans overrate him to levels. He's an extremely overrated player.
No, I wouldn't say he's
I
well
think
overrated.
he's one of these players. He's not. It's very difficult. The stats side of it's very, very difficult if you're just looking at the stats. When I see a player, I almost look at it like a little bit like art. Football's an art to me. If you watch how calm he is off the ball, how the players around him, how they react when he's got the ball, they all seem to know what they're doing. When he is up against a good defender, he wins a header, but then he has other players around him to win headers. He's got Gabriel, who's very, very good. He's got Ben White, who's a centre-back, playing next to him. Ramsdale's good at coming out from the back and winning balls. Last season he was anyway. Romero's got no one to win the ball. It's just him. So his stats are always going to be higher. So, but it's not just that. I think it's the aura of a player. And for me, Saliba, the way he plays, there's something close to world-class potential in the future, I think.
He's very
but
calm and
Tommy-
calculated.
That's my personal view.
Yeah, but Tommy, the scenario that you just painted, that he has Ramsdale behind him and then he has Partey in front of him, who's like a DM, basically a good DM, and then you have Gabriel with him. I think we are kind of seeing the calmness of Romero coming in as well. Since we have had Bissouma and since we have had WDB and since we have had Vicario behind him, I think Romero looks like exactly that calm sort of a player as well.
Yep.
If you want to go with the eye test there, so I would say that if he is performing that sort of thing there, then the stats can compare the two of them on the eye and on the eye test as well. Nowadays, if you look at it, I think Romero is doing much better than Saliba.
Well, you look at the way they both
slightly
play.
similar scenarios.
Saliba and Romero
Yeah.
next to each other would be your perfect couple.
I think they're very, very different centre backs, aren't they?
Exactly.
I mean, in terms of the penalties alone, Romero's very rarely in his own box. He's coming out drop kicking people to try and win the ball. At least he was last season.
Yeah.
So when he was giving free kicks, when he was getting red cards, and when he was getting silly yellow cards, he was out. He was in the free kick position. He was giving free kicks away, not penalties. So it's subjective and it's very different. Like two separate teams with completely different formations, different style of playing. Very, very difficult to compare. But they're both two very good centre backs. I think it's safe to say Romero this season is living up to the potential we saw 2 years ago. He's had his injuries.
Yep.
He's had systems that didn't fit with the way he wanted to play and his teammates wanted him to play. As you say, he's got Bissouma in front of him. Well, he's not going to play tomorrow, but he seems like he's fully fit. His injuries are behind him. Sarr is there every game too. And Van de Ven, Vicario.
Yeah.
So it's a different team that Romero's around. And so far, so good. That rashness seems to have gone. That was his biggest weakness, his rashness.
Look,
coming out.
You don't get top defender in Italy for no reason in the most defensive style of football country you will ever get.
Exactly.
You do not get top defender of the year there for no reason. And Italy is the most defensive style counter-attacking football you will ever get. So he's looking up to standards.
And he got it playing at Atalanta as well. So you got the Juventus, AC Milan centre-backs. They will always stand out because it's one of those. Serie A is always a bit fraudulent anyway. So they will absolutely stand out to the people giving out the trophy, Serie A Defenders of the Year and that. And he got it, didn't he? He got Serie A Defender of the Year. As Dan said, it's a big, it's a big, it's a big thing to be given.
And the kind of defenders he got it over Skriniar, he got it over Bastoni, he got it over Bremer, he got it over the guy now who is at Bayern, delete, what's his name? Like
Yeah.
there are a lot of quality defenders in Syria. He got that trophy over all those players. So I mean, big up to him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and now I think he's showing that same potential in the Premier League. I would say that this season he's been much better. Now the other thing also is that he has not conceded. I think he's only considered one yellow in like 8 or 9 games. Romero, that's all. He has not been doing those dodgy tackles and all that, which is a good stat as well. Like until this point last season, he had like 3 or 4 yellows already.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, you're right. You're totally right.
It's true. But again, it's still very early days. It's still 8 games, just 8 games. So we've
so
got to see.
far, so good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and,
so far,
you know,
so
people
good,
don't
that's
want to
what I'm
talk about. People don't want to talk about. This isn't an opinion. This is fact. Half the teams you played, 50% of the teams make up the bottom 4. So 4 of the teams are in the bottom 4. So there are many, many big tests ahead. Many, many big tests ahead. What I'm so angry with, and it bores me to death, another international break. We got 3 games and another international break. I was just hoping it'd be smooth sailing from here until Christmas, but it's not to be. Although we've got 3 London derbies, we've got Fulham tomorrow, Crystal Palace on Friday, and then the big one, Chelsea. As we saw, they don't, they threw it away. Quite frankly, the way I see it, the other day they threw it away 2-0 up. They should have held on to their first 3 points, but things are looking better for them. And you've got to look at that midfield now. And when they're getting Kunku back, it's looking pretty good. I mean, Gallagher looks fantastic. Captain Zarban and Kunku, when he comes on, they can both play cam. Saicedo, Palmer looks outstanding. I don't know Carlton Palmer.
Yeah.
I've never really seen him play. 50 million from Man City. You can see why he's Man City pedigree. Fernandez, Enzo Fernandez, they've got a strong centre midfield. Saicedo's going to come good as well. They've got some strength and depth in that midfield area, Chelsea. And it's starting to show a little bit.
Well, got a quick question here. Is Bremer, I presume he's talking about the Brazilian fella at Juventus, if I'm thinking
Gleison
right,
Bremer,
better
yeah.
than
This is because following the season we signed Romero, Bremer got Serie A Defender of the Year.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
Yeah.
For me, I'd have to see him over here, basically, in that aspect. I'd have to see him over here for it. So he's
It's
a very
not
good
given,
defender.
is it? It's not given that if you're Serie A Defender of the Year, you're going to be a great player. But it's something good to have on your CV, isn't it?
Definitely, without a doubt.
It's definitely something good to have on
Bremer,
your CV.
Bremer is not so much more of a tackler. He's more of like a dispossessor. He dispossess the opponents, and he's quite physical. Like he's a big guy, by the way. Good in the air. That's sort of player.
Sorry, that's me pressing the wrong button.
Talking to Chelsea, Thiago. As I said, we've got him in 2 games' time. Poch, do you think he'll get? What sort of reception do you think he'll get? He's returning to Spurs. If you were to predict the Spurs fan base, very difficult to predict our fan base at times. What would you say that the reception will be when he first steps out back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Boos, cheers, bit of both.
I think it's going to be
Bit of
both,
I think.
but I think we're going to get more. Look, the way I see now is that I think it's going to be a little bit more hotter towards Poch because of how well we're doing. I mean, the Spurs fan base as a whole, let's say, is in love with Postecoglou at the moment. And they even made a song, "You Can Keep Your Pochettino." So this fan base is fickle, I know.
Yes.
8 games in, and they are already saying that people can keep Pochettino. But for me right now, given how we started the season, and especially if we get 2 good results against Fulham and Palace, I think the reception for Pochettino is going to be not the most welcoming, let's say. I think at the moment we are way more into Postecoglou than looking back at Pochettino and asking for the Pochettino days to come back. And like if we were playing like we were playing against Conte, if our season didn't start so well, then I would see Pochettino get a huge cheer and everybody singing his magic. I still think some people are gonna sing it. I'm 100% sure some people will.
Let's
It
see.
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have more negative reactions than positive ones.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the same people that have been singing, that are going to, singing right now, you can keep your Pochettino, were the same fans, a lot of them are the same fans in the summer that will prepare to, chop off limbs to bring Poch back. That's how,
exactly.
that's how fickle the fan base is at times.
That is how shallow it is at Spurs.
I didn't want him back. I'll tell you from the start, I did not want Poch back. Been
The
done, been there,
flip-flops.
done that. We've been there, he's been there. Fantastic. We had a great spell under them. Everyone's got to move on. We've got to move on. And it was annoying me when I'd come onto certain channels and trying to facilitate Poch coming back. I think he'll come back. He loves the club, this, that, and the other. I'm telling you, it's great. Love this, but money talks. And Pochettino was never a Spurs fan growing up. Grew up in Argentina. Massive Espanyol fan, if anything, because he played for them and managed them.
And the
not a Spurs fan. Wasn't a Spurs fan. So the move to Chelsea wouldn't bother him, and it didn't bother him. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and the funny part for me in the whole situation, I've been going on streams for about 2 years, so Tommy knows me really well. Since day one, I've always said I'm Levy out. But for me, the situation was just funny. People saying it was Daniel Levy's fault, just as if Daniel Levy was the one to call Pochettino and tell him, okay, so Mauricio, Chelsea's going to call you. Say yes, okay? I want you to say yes to Chelsea. When the guy doesn't even have an agent. So he was the one who said yes to Chelsea to start talks, and he was the one who said yes to their offer. And for me, even though I don't like Daniel Levy, you can't blame him on this one. It was Pochettino who said yes. And that's just how stupid some Spurs fans are. And we all know that if things start going south now with Pochettino, with Postecoglou, soon enough, they're not going to be singing that they're going to love Big Angie said. We all know that.
And by that same metric, 6 months later, if Poch loses his job at Chelsea, there'll be the guys that want Poch back. There will be the guys that want Poch back.
I hope that doesn't happen. I hope everyone.
Well, we know the situation is very likely. As Spurs fans, we know it's very likely.
Yeah. But I hope we keep the momentum and we all keep loving Postecoglou because we are in a good moment. As just like Dan said, so far so good. And hopefully comes the last game of the season, we're going to say the same thing. So far so good. But yeah.
Dan, with Poch coming back, what do you reckon the reaction would be? What's your reaction? Do you really care?
I suppose it's got that. Pardon me. I suppose it's got that little sentimental side there where we played some brilliant football under Poch, and we nearly got there, same as we seem to do with everything. So near yet so far. And no, I don't blame Poch for that because going excess of 500 days or whatever without any backup to your team and any new players and that, what was he meant to do? And
exactly,
I thought Poch was a very good manager for us. There was that bit on the side for me that was like, well, do you know what? If Poch comes back, I'm not seeing many other options out there. Give it another go. But on the more side, I was like, is there another offer out there? Because like Yusuf said, been there, done that. It's like being with that woman who goes behind your back and you let her go and you have another relationship and that one don't work and her one didn't work and you decide to get back together again. Like, why would you? But some people would. And obviously some people would be more than happy to take Poch in. But I think because we're doing well and because he's struggling a little bit with Chelsea at the moment, I think he's going to get significant more stick now than he would have, say, if the game would have been 4 games previous as such.
Yeah,
I think he's definitely going to get a bit of stick now because, like Thiago was saying, well, we've got Postecoglou now. We don't need Poch, whatever else in that. Because Spurs, like it or not, we are one of the most shallow fan bases out there, along with Arsenal and Liverpool. And that is how I see it. And I totally agree. I think he's going to get a bit more stick now than he would have because we're in a significantly better position than they are at the moment.
Yeah, so I think he's going to get that song as well. It's a song that what Big Anton said. I think that's going to be the song when he comes on. I think.
If you was there, would you be singing it? Would you be singing it if you was there?
No, I don't think so. I'll be singing that. Probably I'll be kind of neutral. Maybe I'll give him a clap. Yeah, I'll give him a standing ovation. That's all. Like I won't be even singing Pochettino's song, but because I will be neutral. I think like not too excited, not too much of booze. Yeah, that kind of scenario.
Don't even think he deserves a standing elevation. I mean, he didn't win nothing. Yeah, he played some good football for us and that, but he didn't win nothing. So
Just out of respect.
it's just another manager.
But do you know who got a standing ovation? I went to this game. We beat, a year and a half ago, we beat Everton 5-0. This is the first time they almost got relegated when Dele Alli was there. They just loaned Dele Alli off us. He came off the bench. We were 2-0 up at the time. And a lot of the people on my side, on the south stand upper, were celebrating. They were like, hey! Adulation for Dele Alli, who hasn't done anything for 2 or 3 years for us. 2 or 3 years. I sat there. Everyone else is up cheering. 90% of the crowd. I'm like, I ain't fucking cheering up. Why am I cheering? Why am I clapping this guy? He didn't do anything for 3 years. We're 2-0 up. Why would you want to give him confidence to score against us, Dele Alli? I'm like, if you're going to do something, do it after the game. If you're going to cheer for a player, do it after the game.
I'll agree with that.
Exactly.
During, I'm not interested. You're just giving someone confidence for no reason. It's slightly different with a manager, I guess, because he's not going to get on the pitch. But he still motivates the team. He still has to give the team talk. So we don't want to help motivate these players. We don't have to boo them either. If it's Judas, you boo him. You know,
Right.
you boo him before he gets on the pitch.
But
I don't think he's Judas.
A lot of people, Elias, put him in the same bracket as Judas. Some people are.
Look,
No, he's not Judas.
with
Like,
Poch.
why?
Yeah, because he's gone to Chelsea.
he's coming there for one reason. He's coming to Spurs. He's going to play Spurs for one reason, and that is to beat us. He is an enemy now.
Exactly.
End of.
Yeah.
So no standing elevation. He didn't win nothing. Yeah, fair play, mate. You've done all right. But no. Now, if anything, I'd be on the one singing, giving him a bit of abuse or something. He's an enemy now. He's playing against us. He wants to beat us. So done and dusted.
This is a good point. Big up WTP. One of my thoughts with Poch is that he overworks the players, which causes us a lot of injuries in crucial periods near the end of the season. And I can't remember who mentioned it, but his subs were always a little bit dodgy, and his subs were dodgy the other day as well. I looked at
I said they
the
were.
Arsenal game 2-0 up.
Yeah,
some
they were
odd subs there. And it was always for me. There were always some really, really odd substitutions at times. So I think that's a fair way to look at it. And Jacob, yeah, bang on. This is exactly what I agree with this 100%. I'm cheering Poch end of the game when we beat them. Nothing beforehand. I'm with you.
That's what I meant.
None of that soppy bullshit as we're playing. None of that. We don't need that.
No.
And audio evening. How you doing, boys? How you doing, mate? Good to see you. Please make sure you smash a like if you haven't already done so. We don't usually stream. We don't usually stream this time on a Sunday night, so thanks for joining us if you are. We seem to get more views on the recordings now. So if you're on the recordings, you can still have your say, get in the comments, and of course, don't forget to smash the like, subscribe. Okay, next up, before we get to the game, big game tomorrow, this time tomorrow it would have finished. Spurs Fulham, 8 o'clock kickoff. Another couple of, I mean, the Sheffield United, Man United one stands out, because I thought Sheffield United were getting at least a point out of that game, and it was the game.
One game here. There's one game,
and of course, you can, Dan, you can have your say on the other games as well. I didn't watch the Liverpool Everton game, so I don't know. Maybe you want to mention that one. I didn't watch that. But the Man United game, is this not the worst back four you've heard in the Man United squad? Right. So Onana, who's not that great anyway, Dalot at right back, who's okay, Maguire and Johnny Evans at centre back, and Lindelof at left back. Now, what makes me laugh the most is that they signed Reggie, and Reggie couldn't get in. Signed Reggie off us over Lindelof, a centre-back playing at left-back. That is, when I saw that lineup, that is one of the worst Man United.
That is shocking.
Wasn't Reguilon injured?
And I have to say, they had a very good
first
season.
Reguilon is injured, by the way.
Reguilon is injured. They finished in the top four. They won the League Cup. What's happened?
They got that because other teams was already melting, basically. Other teams was already going through a bad phase, whatever you want to call it, and Man U managed to squeak their way into it. It's now actually showing Man U for what they've actually got.
Right, they won the League Cup as well, Dan. But they won that.
Fair enough. No, fair enough. But it's already showing what the problem is at Man U, like what the problem has been at Spurs for a long time. The players are a major part of the problem. Why? Because he's now had an issue with Sancho and a couple of others. Now all of a sudden the room's meant to be turning on him. And that'd be the third manager that they've basically lost at Man U, where he's lost the boardroom, basically, where he's lost the room, where he's lost the players. It's telling you something, like it has done with us for a while.
Exactly.
Too many players have too much of them out.
Thiago, Elias, do you know? I'm trying to think of the Man United transfer window off the top of my head. Would you say that was a failure this summer, the Man United transfer window? I'm looking at, I said earlier, Højlund, good player, but you got to look at Kane. You got to look at Asherman. If you got top 4, you won a trophy, they're the players you've got to be looking at, surely. I'm not impressed.
I agree with your point. I think from where Man United finished last season, they definitely were at a point where they had to look forward. You know, they probably were in a place just like we were after we finished second place with Chelsea. We just need 2 or 3 more pieces to complete the puzzle and fight for something bigger. Because last season, at some points of the season, Man United actually played really good football. Might not have been the most dominant football, but they were getting results and they were playing well. And
Yep.
I don't think you win a trophy if you don't play well at all. I just look, United for me. The problem was always going to be depth, in my opinion. I think their bench is horrible. They're starting games with Maguire and Johnny Evans.
Oh, it's bad.
It's
That
expensive.
back 4 is shocking.
That
Like-
was bad. Yeah.
I know that we
but-
can't talk much because if Van der Ven or Romero gets injured, we're gonna have to play Eric Dyer. But still, I think it might be crazy to say, but I would actually trust Eric Dyer more than, for example, Johnny Evans, because Dyer at least has been around the Premier League in the last few years.
I agree.
Elias definitely going to agree, but
No, like of course I don't want Eric Dyer to play. If I could choose, I would have sold him 4 seasons ago. But United, you just see the depth. You know, of course he's been unlucky with injuries as well because they lost both Luke Shaw and Reguilon. So they're playing Lindelof because it's the only option they have. But yeah.
poor recruitment again. But just looking at the transfer window, how can this is a problem.
I think
You forget about Mason
transfer-
Mount. Mason Mount, 60 million
That's what I was
pounds.
gonna say. For me, Mason Mount
Yeah,
is
Mason
a
Mount.
sign that they didn't need. I really don't think they need Mason Mount. For me, Mount's best position is an attacking midfielder. Let's say in a 4-2-3-1, and they already have Bruno Fernandes to play there. They could have spent that money on a better fullback, you know, like a better right back, or they could have spent on Harry Kane or a better striker than that. But they went for
Even better
Højlund.
center back. Like I don't think they have a decent center back.
I'm with you there. If I look
Yeah,
at
they have
the-
one. It's not Varane and
this
Lisandro.
summer, I would say centre back, left back, striker for Man United. Centre back, left back, striker. They're the
Yeah,
two.
I think United in a very similar situation to us because we have Romero and Van der Ven. If one of them gets injured, is Eric Dyer. They have Varane and Lisandro Martinez. If one of them gets injured, which happened that both of them got injured at the same time,
Yeah.
you're now having to play Maguire and Johnny Evans. I don't know. how
No,
to say it.
Varane was fit, by the way. Varane was fit. He came off the bench. And then you have, but one thing I want to point out, and it's a good point that Tommy also brought up. Why are they buying so many attacking mids? You have Ericsson, you have Bruno Fernandes, you have Donny van de Beek, you have Mason Mount. Now, like, what's the deal about it? And then you look at it, they don't have much DMs. Like the DM side, they only have the old McTominay. You have
They brought Amrabat in, didn't they? They
yeah.
did bring Amrabat in. He's been playing left back as
Amrabat.
well.
I think he's a bit more of a central midfielder than I think he's a DM. I don't rate him as a DM though. He's more of a Bentancur type of player, I would say.
I think people would actually expect him to be more like a Bissouma. I'm not saying in terms of the same dribbling, but the guy who just is not the most defensive player of all, but he has the quality to pass around and be kind of a deep lying playmaker, which is what he used to do best for Fiorentina. And one player that has dipped so much this season is Casemiro. It's actually crazy how bad he's been playing.
Yeah.
Last season he was already shaky.
For club
but-
and country, Thiago, or for club and country?
For club and country. Yeah, I think, look, the Brazilian national team, I'm not going to get into that because I would take a long time to explain, but we're going through a transitional process, which is a terrible process. We're just trying to hang in there for a year for Ancelotti to take over. But Casemiro, I think, is one of those players that it's not just the system in the national team that made him look bad. I think it's just he's been bad overall. It's not like Vinicius Junior, who has been shining at Real Madrid but was terrible for Brazil. For
That's a fair
me,
point.
he's just being he's bad. He has not developed. He's gone backwards a lot since he joined Man United because he was amazing at Real Madrid, and last
His
season
first season at Man U was good, and then he's
I think
deteriorated,
was
isn't
good,
he?
but not as good as Real Madrid. He got so
No,
many.
but do you think
I mean,
it was
to
he
be
just
fair, he's
looked
got
good
Modric
because
next to
of?
him. He's got Modric next to him at Real Madrid.
There you go.
That's a big difference.
No,
isn't
but
it?
but I think Casemiro, he arrived, in my opinion, even though he had Kroos and Modric around him. I think that Casemiro also arrived that type of player that just elevates your team. Because for me, he was the best defensive midfielder in the world. It's not just because of the players he had around him, but the guy would do everything around Madrid. He would defend, he would score, he would pass, he would create, he would do everything for them. And I think
He did.
it was a good season, but at Real Madrid he was just excellent. So he went from excellent to good, and now from good to below average.
But at Man U, he looked extremely good because everyone was playing that average sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because for the
But-
first 6 months, he was getting a lot of plaudits. He was getting a lot of adulation last season, Casemiro.
Yeah, it was being talked a lot in Brazil, like, oh, people are finally getting to know who Casemiro is because now he's playing the Premier League. But yeah, I think throughout the season he was just getting worse and worse, and now this season he's been terrible. And I don't know, I don't like the Amrabat and Casemiro.
I'm looking at their transfer window, Man United, and you've got to look. Højlund, 75 million for a 20-year-old. Mount, as I said, 60 million pounds. As Elias, rightly said, Cams. They've got Ericsson, they've got Bruno Fernandes. They signed Mount for 60 million pounds. Amrabat, for me, Amrabat
is good.
Casemiro, you can rotate and you can probably play. I think they're quite similar, but you can play them together still.
Yeah.
They need an attacking centre midfielder. They need an attacking centre midfielder. You can get a centre mid that's slightly more deep, and you can get a cam, but you can get attacking centre midfielders. And they don't have that. They don't have
someone like
defense.
Bentancur.
Someone like Bentancur, even Bissouma for us, the way he plays for us is sort of fits in that mode. He's not someone who's just going to sit in front of the back four and clean up all the time, is he?
Yeah.
We'll get
Another position I think they should have signed is right wing, because you don't go into a season thinking about winning the Premier League with Anthony as a right winger. I'm sorry.
I
Thiago's the perfect man for this. Thiago's the perfect man for this.
I mean,
well, let's just be
not
happy
that
that
bad,
they
yeah.
didn't do it at the end of the day. Let's just be happy that he has been a bit of a tits up for him, because that's one less off our back, basically.
Absolutely, exactly. And I think it goes around the Premier League. I look at the Chelsea team, I look at the Arsenal team, and I think, why haven't they not signed a striker? I'm happy. I'm sort of frustrated as a neutral because I'm trying to understand. Nicholas Jackson's a good player, but I'd say in the Premier League, he's always going to be more of a winger.
Yeah, but we're at a point now where striker is the hardest thing to get out there. If you want to go back, let's say maybe 6 years, 7 years, there were strikers out there to get, and enough of them. But could you find a decent centre back? There were few and far between. Now, there's a good few centre backs out there, and there is just limited strikers out there.
And that's true to a certain extent, Dan, because there's less strikers. Because it used to be a 4-4-2, so every team used to have two strikers. So now you're choosing from one. Most teams play 90% of teams play with one striker. So there's just less. There are less strikers in general.
Yeah, but we're even in a trouble now where sit there and name me 5 world-class strikers.
Yeah, but there was available. They could have got Osimhen, Man United. They could have got Kane. They could have got Ramos, the one that went to PSG. There was players available, but they chose Højlund. And for me, it's bad recruitment. Mount and Onana is just bad recruitment this summer for me, Man United. Exactly. They deserve what they get. I think a lot of the time they deserve what they get. But Dan, you wanted to mention another game. As I said, I didn't watch any of the other games. Was it the Liverpool game you wanted to chat about?
I'm going to keep this short and sweet, basically, yeah, because this game made me laugh in a very big way. And the way I'm just going to say it is, where are all the victims now?
We've got it.
Where are they? Where are they all now? Yeah, all complaining about football and how we need to team up together apart from going on how the world's against Liverpool and everything else and this and that, but we all got to work together now. We've all got to bring it up as one, as a football nation, as football supporters of our clubs. They get a decision go on their side. I don't hear nothing. They didn't complain
tell
about it.
that to tell
You
that
know?
to all the guys on Football Terrace, the Eagle.
I'll
and
tell
all
that
those
to every single one of them and all that, yeah? I mean, at the end of the day, there's been maybe one or two out there that said, no, it was a tits-up decision and that, but most of them have turned around and said, yeah, well, it happens. Well, hang on a minute. We want our replay now. I mean, those northern monkeys, mate, they get on my nerves. I get called a Southern Fairy a couple of times on here. So I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm a Southern Fairy, they're northern monkeys, mate. That's the way it gets. That's the way it gets said in Snatch and everything else. They get on my nerves. They contradict themselves so bloody much, and then want to be the victims for everything, that the whole world's against them. And then obviously they're going to be happy because it went their way. But if they was preaching it as they were, they should have then stood up and said, right, we need to back up Everton here and other teams where it goes wrong, because we all got to work together.
But this is where they done it right, Dan. We can sit here and discuss, but the Scousers complaining have put it into the officials for me and said, you owe us one. You owe us one. So I said, it's coming. Yeah. Liverpool are going to get a dodgy decision, go their way. It's coming. And this is what they've done. They knew the
They've been getting it for ages. I mean, come on.
Nobody with a brain would really accept a replay happening. So, and it worked. This is Fergie time. This is Fergie time all over again. It's worked for them.
It's
absolutely worked.
Yeah, but it's been like that for ages. I mean, how many? I think if you check in the Premiership, Liverpool have had the most dodgy decisions go their way.
Yeah.
Aren't they known as Liverpool?
Yeah, there you go. But it really annoyed me the way they're going on about how we have to become one as a football nation and everything. Everyone support everyone for how bad the refs are. And then all of a sudden it goes and happens in their favour. And I'll say 95% of them shut up and had nothing to say. Whereas a couple of them did have something to say on it. I'll give them that. But not many. So if they were preaching this situation so hard that we all need to stick together, how about practice what you preach? Otherwise, shut up and get on with it.
There you go.
That's my opinion to that one, mate.
There you go, Scousers. And there was two lots of Scousers on Saturday midday. There were two lots of them, which is even worse on the pitch at the stadium, let's say. But I tell you what, one thing, Everton could be in a championship next year, enjoying their new stadium. Or their new stadium. If you look at the designs, it looks fucking wicked, man. Their new stadium on the docks, I think it looks better than ours, quite frankly. It looks, not that we used it anyway. Not that we've ever used our stadium to our potential or used it to sign players anyway. It is just for the design purposes. It would be funny if that new stadium was to come and Everton were going to be in the championship for the first time in their history. They've never been below first division of the Premier League in their history, Everton. So that would be, that would be funny. But right, to tomorrow's game, 8 p.m. This time tomorrow will be over. We'll be able to identify whether we are top of the table still or not. Well, right now we're fourth, but after games played, after all the games have been played, if we win, we go top. Not just on goal difference this time either. It will be by points. It will be on points. And as you saw from the thumbnail, it looks like Son is going to be fit. There's a lot of talk that he would make it for the international period. Romero is going to be fit. Another big bonus. So looking at that, Thiago, would you say 3 easy points at home to Fulham tomorrow?
No, I wouldn't say 3 easy points. And there's one thing that's making me lose my sleep, which is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg in midfield.
Richarlison? Oh, okay.
No, I don't even... Richarlison, I don't lose my sleep over him anymore, thankfully. But it's Højbjerg. It's scaring me a little bit because he's just not Bissouma. Let's be honest. He's a completely different player. So I'm really curious to see how this midfield is going to work. But besides that, pretty much same team. I want to see what Ange's going to do in attack. Let's see if he's going to play Brennan Johnson, which is what I would do. I don't want to see Richarlison play tomorrow, but
he's
maybe...
meant to be fit for the game, isn't he?
Yeah, he's supposed
I
to
think
be
he is. Yeah. But for me, one of the biggest news of the week, which made me really happy, was seeing Bentancur back in training with the team. I know he's not going
By
to be
the way,
fit for
guys, hold on a minute here. I think Ange is holding that card. I think tomorrow Bentancur might play because when he was asked in the press conference that yes, will you be playing like Pierre with Højbjerg, he said that yes, Højbjerg is the most obvious options, but I have others
You think
available
he'll
as well. He
start?
says
You think Benny will start?
Wow. That's
he
a
has
wild
been he
I would
has
love,
been
like-
he has been training with the first. He has been training with the first team, by the way, so I wouldn't be surprised if he starts. Like,
Yeah.
and
Training
for the
and
people-
match time are different. Total different
I agree-
things. He hasn't even
I agree with
played
you,
on the
Dan.
pitch for how
I
many
agree with you, Dan.
months?
I agree with you. But
What
if
did he
you
say? No,
watch
no, I
those
didn't see the
training
interview.
videos,
What
the
did
way-
Postecoglou say? What did he say?
So he said basically that he was asked the question that since Misuma is out, like, would you
Mhm.
bring Højbjerg? He said that yes, Højbjerg is like the most obvious option, and he's a good player. He has been training well with us, and all that. And he said towards the end, he said that, however, I have some other options available as well to put up there, and we will see what we can where we can go about with that. So it's kind of like giving me a hint that Bentancur is coming back. Or he is, or like what else can happen if it's not Højbjerg? Like, what other options does he have?
I think what he's basically saying is the only other option I've got is Skip. So yeah, Højbjerg's playing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe.
Could Bentancur
I-
be on the bench? I think that I don't know.
Oh, I
I
hope
would
he
love
would be.
to
Don't
think-
get me wrong. I just don't see it. I still think it's a bit early.
Yeah, I think it's a really tough injury to recover from. He's been out for 6 months.
It is.
And right after the injury, we were seeing pictures of him back in the training ground. You could just see the difference in size from both legs because he just couldn't use the leg that was injured. And now the TV, like, just 2 minutes straight showing Taylor Swift in the NFL game. I hate this, but yeah, I would love to see Bentancur.
This is the Chiefs, and
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Eagles game, but the Eagles game is going to be in 2 hours, I think.
who she with? Is
Yep.
it Travis Kelce? She's with Travis Kelce, isn't she?
Yeah, it is. No, but it was funny. The other day in Brazil was a big fight because we had the weekend concert a few weeks ago, and he broke the record for people in the stadium. It wasn't the same stadium where Taylor Swift is going to play. And now Swifties are just saying that they're going to crush the record, and they just got into a huge fight. People need to find jobs, man. That's all I'm going to say. People need to find jobs.
Yeah.
As long as they don't take my job, that's fine. But going back to Tottenham, I would love to see Bentancur play. I really would, but I think it's going to be Sarr, Højbjerg, Madison. Would I say Brennan Johnson on the left? I think I would. I think he's going to play tomorrow.
You would? Do you think Angie's got? Angie seems to like Richarlison. He's stuck by him.
I hope he says yes to Brennan
No.
Johnson because if we play with
Brent
Richarlison,
Johnson's never played on the left, really. Brent Johnson's on the right for Forest, plays up top
No,
for a while.
he
Yeah,
started on
majority
the
of the
left. No, when he started the other week, he
No,
started on the left.
he played left against Arsenal. He started as a left winger.
Yeah,
He
He's
has
on
played
the
on the
left.
left, but majority he's been on the
Yeah,
right.
he played on the left for
played
us.
up
But
front.
before when we signed him for £50 million, he hadn't played on the left, or if he did, it was very, very sporadic.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what Ange wants because Kulusevski's a right winger, but he's left-footed. Maybe he wants a left winger who's right-footed. I don't know.
I could understand that. That would be more of an inverted forward for me, if that's what they want to call it.
Yeah.
That would be because you want him to have a shot on goal, not just cross it in. And down to that one, I could understand why. I can't judge Johnson for his crossing because I haven't seen him play enough. But apart from that, we've only got one player on the pitch who can cross anyway, and that's Porro. So, but it's going to be a tricky one with Fulham because it comes under a London derby, and no, I could definitely see Johnson giving a go up there as long as he's fit enough. But the Bentancur side, I still don't think you're going to see a proper game out of him till December. I think he's going to hold on to Bentancur until December because that's when we got 7 games.
Yeah, that's a good.
I don't know. Maybe he brings him. Maybe he puts him on the bench, and with 10 minutes to go, if we're 3-0 up, brings him on. But I wouldn't even take that risk. I'd leave personal, even if he's fit enough to play as such. I'd start. How do they want to put it? Like milking him in from November, so we can play him in December when there's 7 games and we know there's going to be issues out there. If he comes out on against Fulham or Crystal Palace or what, I would be very surprised.
But this is where a manager earns his money. This is where a manager earns his money. What you're going to do, you're going to give him 10 minutes at a time. The problem is if you're losing 2 or 3-0, and you've got a fantastic player like Bentancur on the bench, are you going to go, we'll risk his injury, but he could get us back into the game? So this is where he earns his money. This is where Andrew will really earn his money.
Yeah.
When players start getting injured and you've got to make these big decisions because it's coming. It's coming.
In December, we got 7 games in December, if I remember right, 6 or 7. I think
Usually we have 6
definitely
games
where
in
we
a
need.
fortnight. Sometimes you have 6 games in a fortnight.
Can I throw a question in then? If let's say December Bentancur is 100% fit, do you drop Sar or do you keep playing Sar in midfield?
Well, that's a question a few people have asked me, and like I've said, I rate Bentancur highly as a player. I just personally think Basuma is significantly better. So for me, Basuma and Maddison's place is already taken.
Yeah.
But Sarah's done very well in his position at the moment.
This season.
And that is the place for Bentancur to come back. But I don't think he'll just walk into it. I think he's going to have to play a game. I think he's going to have to prove himself. Even though we know he's great or whatever, you can't just go and drop Sard just like that because Bentancur's fit. Because we don't know how Bentancur's going to come back. I can't say I've ever seen many players come back off an ACL injury and be of the same quantity and quality that they was before. I mean, look at Virgil van Dijk. Ever since he got scissored by Pickford and that, he's definitely lost. He's nowhere near to the standards he was.
The problem with that is the trauma from the injury, not even the pain from the injury. It's the trauma. Do I put my foot in here? If I put my foot in here and I smash my ACL up again, I'm going to be out for another 8 months. So it's the mental side. It's the mental trauma of the injury. Do change the way you play. A lot of athletes do. They have to adapt the way they play. Sometimes it works for them. Adapting, they do something else and they realize they're actually better at that than they were the other thing.
Now you see what the fella said here. If we free up, we should give Velez a longer go. I agree with that because we're definitely going to have that stage where Son's going to be half knackered, and personally, I think he should get a bit of a longer go in a couple of games and that, and brought into it a bit more because Richarlison for me is just, well, when I say dead wood, he's already wood that's already been burnt on the fire. So you know my opinion on Richarlison, yeah.
And we know that Son.
So I'm agreeing what the fella's saying here. Yeah,
you know that Son can play on the left wing because he played there for 10 years. It was fantastic. So
I think Son's done on the wing, but up front we are limited for goal scoring options. We have a striker there, so would it be smart to bring him on certain games or with, say, 30, 20 minutes to go when we're 2-0 up or whatever? I don't think that's a bad option because I feel in a game when you're 2-3-0 up, you can make 1 or 2 changes. You don't go and do what Chelsea did and basically change the front lot that they had up there. But if you take Son on with 20 minutes to go and bring on Velez there, I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, you'll probably get more out of him than you will out of Richarlison. I mean, Richarlison, you might as well just play with 10 men.
I got a funny feeling Ange's going to stick with him. No disrespect to Ange. I think he's done a terrific job. I got a funny feeling going to stick with Richarlison tomorrow. He doesn't have a great amount of options. If Solomon was fit, I think he'd probably go with Solomon now, but he's not. So I got a funny feeling he will stick with Richarlison. But Son and Romero, if they do make it tomorrow, Dan, is it an easy 3 points for us?
No, not at all. It's never an easy 3 points.
Easy.
We are Tottenham. Like it or lump it. When it is easy, we make it bloody hard. Harder than hard. We just have a habit of doing it. And a game like Fulham, we should be winning significantly. But we just never seem to do it like that. And Fulham being a London derby and that, it's going to be a hard game. It's not going to be an easy one.
Where did they finish last? I can't exactly remember. They had a very good season, Fulham, last season. I think
They were, I think, ninth or 10th. I need to check.
mid-table. I
At
think
one
it was.
point, they were 6th or 7th, but they got the Mitrovic banned, didn't they? The manager got banned, and then they just sort of glided down the table. So they finished 9th, but I think at one stage they were like top 6, top 7. They had a very, very good season last year. The difference is they haven't got Mitrovic. Without
They finished
Mitrovic,
10th.
I'm happy. I'm happy to see a Mitrovic less Fulham. And if we are at full strength at home, it should be an easy 3
We
points.
should be doing them, but we are known for making the job hard.
And who's the only team we've lost to so far this season? Really, the only team manager's lost to is Fulham.
To me, though, that was down to for making nine changes on your bloody first.
We didn't
11.
lose to them, Tommy. We didn't lose to them.
We didn't lose, but we did
awful
as well. We should have been 3-0 down in the first half. We were fucking terrible in that game.
That was horrendous.
And Fulham now is kind of tricky as well. They have Jimenez, they have Wilson, they even got Adama Traore, who actually I think looked good in a couple of games as well. And their defense is not that bad, so I think it's going to be a tricky one. Jimenez can be quite
It's the Premiership as well.
Of course.
The Premiership is you don't underestimate, because the minute the thing that people love about the Premiership is anybody can beat anybody on that day. You could say that about any football league, but the Premiership is the one known for it. You go into a game being a bit too cocky and that, you come out of there 2-0 down. It happens. But Spurs make life hard, and they do. And I do think Fulham is not going to be an easy game. I think we might get that 2-1.
But this is we lost, or we didn't lose in 90 minutes with those 9 changes. Son is going to start. Romero's going to start by the looks of things. Maddison's going to start. Basuma can't, obviously, because he's been suspended. But we're going to have a lot of first team players there. And if our first team comes up against Fulham's first team, I'm pretty confident we'll get the 3 points. Famous last words. We sort of touched on this.
I agree.
We touched on this a second ago, but Basuma is not going to be there for the next few. No, 1 game, isn't it? Only 1 game, but he's still.
He's still got 4 yellow cards.
Still 4
I'd leave
yellow
him out
cards.
for Palace as well.
Exactly.
I wouldn't play him for Palace.
1 game away from getting another suspension. He could, exactly.
Yeah.
He could go to the Palace game and
I
miss
would
the Chelsea game.
I would try and save him for the Chelsea game. Like, if possible, if Højbjerg has a decent performance, I think I wouldn't play him for the Palace game. Like, I would play him play Højbjerg for the Palace game and conserve Bissouma for the Chelsea game.
This is where I think
So
Højbjerg is good enough as a
Fulham
squad
game.
player.
Højbjerg definitely comes in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, who else do you put? Skip? I don't think so.
Yep. I think
Oh.
Palace game would be easier. Like, Palace is looking shocking to me. Like, you can play Højbjerg there, or you can play Skip there as a defensive mid.
I don't get. I'll be honest with you. I don't get this complete detest that Spurs fans have for Skip all of a sudden. I don't really get it. I'll be
It's
honest.
not
No, I'm not
Yes,
rating. I'm not rating him. Tommy.
No,
I'm not
I'm
rating
talking about
him.
you. I'm talking I mean, the guy was out for a year, comes back last season when Stellini takes charge, does okay, but then everyone falls apart under Mason and Stellini, and then Skip sort of gets all this. He's absolutely useless. This, that, and the other. I don't see it.
He's a bang average player at best. At best, he is bang average. All right, for me, he's someone that more Palace or Fulham would have in their squad. For the team that we are meant to be, for the club we are meant to be, that's where I say Højbjerg is good enough for the squad. He is better than Skip. No, I wouldn't have him in my first team, but I would feel all right playing him instead of Basuma against Fulham and Palace, because Chelsea is where we are going to need Basuma.
I think you have to look at Basuma. I think you have to play Basuma in the Palace game. I think you have to say, you're a professional footballer. You're mature enough. Don't put your foot in and get a yellow card.
That's easier said than done.
Protect you. You've got to be mature. You can't protect players to not get banned for the next game. If it's a Champions League final, fair enough, or something like that. But for Crystal Palace to then play Chelsea, I think you've got to be mature enough and say, don't be silly. Don't put your foot in.
But if you've got a dodgy ref on there,
we should be able to beat Chelsea if it's just without Basuma. I think if without Basuma, we should still be able to beat Chelsea, even if it's Højbjerg. I'd still put us down.
It's going to be tricky. It's
to
going to be
win
tricky,
that.
Tommy. The way the midfield is, if Nkunku is back and then Enzo is like in the kind of form that he was yesterday, I think we'll have some tough time against Chelsea.
But Basuma hasn't been. Basuma was shocking against Arsenal in the first half. He was shocking against Luton. He's had some bad games, Basuma, recently.
Tommy, I don't think he had a bad game against Arsenal. Like, he was better.
First half, he was. First half, he was.
First half, he just wasn't up to what he had been, and second half, he took it over. But apart from that, he's probably been our most solid player on the pitch overall. I know
apart from those games, definitely, I agree. But first half against Arsenal, he was bad. When I watched it, he was awful. And he recovered in the second half. Luton, he was just getting frustrated. He got frustrated with the lack of misses. Like, Richarlison should have put us 2-0 up. So I think it was frustration more than anything. But I don't think Basuma's the be-all and end-all yet that people are saying, you know.
No, he's not yet. But there's so much more to come from him.
I think we can beat Chelsea without Basuma. I do. I think we can beat Chelsea.
My thing with Basuma is he needs to get his yellow card as soon as possible before the Wolves game, because we play Fulham, then Palace, then Chelsea, and then we play Wolves. After that, we have the international break. And when we come back, it's going to be Villa, City, West Ham, and Newcastle. We need him for those games. So if he's going to get a yellow card, he needs to get a yellow card maximum against Chelsea, because we can't come back from the international break against Aston Villa without Basuma in midfield, because then things are starting to get really tough for Tottenham. So I would play him against Crystal Palace. I think I would agree with Tommy that we could beat Chelsea without Basuma. Of course, I would prefer him to play against Chelsea, but I don't know. It just scares me to not put him against Crystal Palace, because it's a fixture we tend to struggle in the last few weeks.
But it's a very physical fixture, and that is where Hojbjerg comes good. Hojbjerg is a good physical player in that aspect. I'm not saying he's a great player, nothing like that, but what he does do, he is actually quite good at it. And he is that one who does wrap up a bit of the dirty work and then cops a bit of stick for it, because he doesn't shine anything special. I think someone like Hojbjerg would be perfect to take Basuma's place for the Palace game, because we all know Palace like to go in hard, basically, no Vaseline. They like to proper go for it. And I think Hojbjerg would be fine to take Basuma's place for that game. So I would rather have him against Chelsea, get a yellow card against Chelsea, or get a yellow card against Wolves. Or even if he doesn't get a yellow card at Chelsea, make sure make sure he does get a yellow card at Chelsea, so he misses the game with Wolves, and then we've got him for the setup, basically. Because a player can easily do that as well. We've seen it done many a time.
I mean, tomorrow, I think it's inevitable Hojbjerg is going to come in tomorrow. I don't really... He looks a bit of a sulker to me, Hojbjerg. I don't mind him as a squad player, but I hope he's not causing problems behind the scenes, because it looks like he's trying to get a move to Juve. In the summer, it looked like he could be moving to Atletico Madrid or even Bayern Munich. So I think in January, that would be a big decision. That would be a big talking point in terms of if we're going to get rid of a player, it'd be Hojbjerg probably. So...
by the way, guys, we still have...
It looks like he's got a bit of a tantrum in him. And I'll be honest with you. I watched Skip at Norwich because I used to watch Championship all the time. He was fantastic. It is only the Championship, though. So I thought he's not really going to do it in the Premier League. Maybe he'll be in and out. I went to 6 of the first 9 home games up until January. It was outstanding. Skip and Son were the two best players in the team for the first 3 or 4 months. Absolutely outstanding under Nuno. Okay, it was under Nuno. Got injured for a year, comes back, gets first team. He's with Sarr at the San Siro. I think they played very well together. Sarr and Skip at the San Siro. In that cauldron atmosphere, I think we lost 1-0, or it was 0-0, 1-0. They were very, very good together.
Last 1-0.
Yeah. Skip is like a Gilberto Silva. He's like a Carrick. They will never get the love. A lot of them will never get the love because they don't score goals. I often get this with these players. Gilberto Silva never got any love from anyone. When you look at the best players, because he's a defensive player, doesn't assist, doesn't score goals, nobody ever rated him. Carrick, when you talk about best all-time 11s, nobody talks about Carrick. I'm not saying Skip is at the same level, but he's the same type of player. If you want assists and goals, he's not going to give you assists and goals.
No.
He is a very good recycler of the ball. Outstanding. You ask Norwich fans, they take him like that.
I get where you're coming from, but you cannot put that man on the same character as Carrick. For me, Carrick is one of the best players ever.
I'm saying the style of play.
He's a Harry Winks. He's another Harry Winks who has a couple of banging games against some big teams and then just totally is bang average at very best.
These players, the Winks, some of these players, the Joe Butter said they need possession. If they don't have possession, they're completely useless. So in Conte style, Nuno style, Jose style, these players are never ever going to work ever. But Skip, I think he gets more flack than he deserves. Definitely come back from 12-month injury. He's in the first team. I mean, he's got a big, Benton Kerr was injured, so someone had to come in for him. He was getting over Sarr. So, what
I'm being honest.
Jose Mourinho said future Spurs captain. Poch said future Spurs captain.
And they all said that Eric Dyer was going to be a world-class defender as well. And look where that went.
That? Give me the quote. Anybody who said that?
Who was it? Was
Conte.
it Mourinho or Conte? Conte.
It was Conte. Conte
Yeah,
said that.
he was definitely
Mourinho said that.
He was definitely on the helium balloons. He was definitely on the balloons at that point. It was definitely on the balloons at that point.
But if I'm being honest, I think it's the opposite, Tommy. I think Skip actually is not seen as the player he is because, for me, it's worse than people think. I think he's overrated because he's an academy product. For me,
100%.
He's just a Harry Winks with even less quality on the ball. I don't think.
Yep.
Not saying that Harry Winks was good at passing, but I think Winks on the ball was better than Skip. For me, Skip is just a guy that breaks the play and that's it. He's not a guy that will break the play and then will progress with the ball. He's not that guy.
He can't even pass it sideways.
Well, he did the first 6 months under Nuno. He was terrific. He was doing all sorts. I'd love to go back to the games and see how well he played. He was terrific. He was doing everything. I saw him on the right wing. When I was on the right-hand side, I saw him explode down the right wing, getting crosses in when there was space. I think we're very quick. Very, very quick to just completely say this player's shot. He's out for a year. He basically got Norwich promoted in centre midfield.
I'm totally agreeing with what Thiago said here, Tom. And if Thiago, what you were saying, what was you going to say next? Højbjerg? That he gets more stick than he actually deserves. Was you going to bring Højbjerg into it? Yeah, along with Skip.
Yeah, I think Højbjerg gets more stick than he deserves. I think people just
100%.
don't. The problem with Højbjerg, just quickly, and then I'll let you finish. Then for me, it's just that people don't see Højbjerg as the guy that's going to dribble all the time like Suma. That's why he gets sick. He doesn't play the fancy football people want, but he's a good player. I like Højbjerg.
Yeah, I think he's better than. I agree basically with what you've just said. I think Højbjerg gets more stick than he deserves. He's more than good enough for a squad player of 75% of the teams in the Premiership. Not saying first 11, squad player. And I feel Skip actually gets it a bit easy at times for exactly what you said, where he's the little academy boy. I honestly, I just think Skip is below average. He's just not good. I just don't rate him. It's simple as that. All right, he was great at Norwich.
I just see, as soon as a player's not assisting or goal scoring, that's it. He's not good enough. I see it a lot. I see it a lot. But
no, I don't think so. If you compare both the first 2 games of the season, where Skip was a starter first against Brentford and Sarr against Man United, you just see the difference. For me, he's just not made for the system we play. He doesn't have quality on the ball, and I think Højbjerg, he has shown for Denmark that if he's going to play in a team that's going to press and keep the ball, he can do a job. He's not going to be a Basuma that's going to dribble past 5 players at once, but he can do a job.
Denmark, they put him as attacking midfield at times as well, didn't they? And he's done the job at Denmark. I mean, I feel that I'm 100% with you on this one, Thiago. 110%. Mate.
No, but I think a lot of fans are. That's why we can, absolutely, I agree. I see what you're saying, but Skip is not overrated in this fan. Nobody rates him, so everyone just doesn't rate him anymore. So I don't think he's overrated.
Yeah,
I think what you're saying, Thiago, is quite. I think the majority agree with you there, and I'm definitely more biased towards Spurs homegrown players at times. Maybe because I'm Tottenham.
Yeah, of course we want to see homegrown players.
Maybe I'm Tottenham born, but I've seen quality in this guy. 46 games for Norwich. I've seen quality in that guy get a team promoted.
But then you go back to look at someone we just compared him to, Harry Winks. apparently he's been tearing it up for Leicester in the Championship. Maybe that's his level. Maybe he's good for Championship.
Harry Winks tore it up in the Champions League. In the Champions, he was absolutely outstanding for 8 games. If you play with the ball, which we haven't done for 3 years, he's actually what you play with. These guys need the ball.
Actually, someone saying that
he did pretty well against Real Madrid. One game.
He had a very good game with Real Madrid, but that's what I said earlier.
Well.
That's it. It's just like Skip. He had a good 2-3 months with Nuno, but that's it. Okay, he got injured. I get it, but that's all he has. And then maybe that's his level. You have seen many players who have never done nothing. Then one day they just get on the pitch and they score a hat trick in the Premier League. These things happen. It's football. But it's not like he's having amazing games all the time. And for what we want to do now, especially with Postecoglou, I think he should go before Hojbjerg. If Hojbjerg was to go,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, a lot of people would agree. And a lot of people talk about this Denmark situation. He does play in different roles, centre mid, even up there as a cam at times. But I've seen enough of Skip. Personally, I've seen enough of Skip to think this guy can play. This guy can play football. I personally think we've been very quick to just throw him out like he's done, he's finished. Very quick. That's just my personal opinion. Sticking with Hojbjerg, this whole £30 million move to Juve, Dan. I think a lot of Spurs fans are gunning for it. They're like, if they give us £30 million, we'll sell Hojbjerg. Are you in that? Are you going to stick up for him here, or are you going to say that you?
He gets so much stick, and I've had this debate on several different channels and that. Right, I'm all up for going for getting rid of a player and getting a better player. But if we go and sell Hojbjerg, I mean, this is the other one as well. People say Phillips, perfect example here, yeah? Good player, and I'd say overall a step up from Hojbjerg. But the question I ask is he going to want to come to Spurs to basically take Hojbjerg's place? Now, others have said to me, well, no, you've got to look at improving your 11. Well, no, for me, Phillips doesn't improve that 11 as long as Bentancur comes back. But he could fight to get a place there. But who'd you go for who's willing to... It was like getting a striker for Harry Kane. They knew they was coming in as cover, basically, and none of them ever wanted to.
Yeah, that's true.
So as long as we can get someone of better quality, not the same quality, but better quality, then yeah, sell him. But at the moment, but mind you, he wants to go as well. So we're going to have to sell him, but I would want to buy a better quality.
Right, Elias, you've got to go. I understand you've got to go. You've got to get ready for work. Just before you go, give us your prediction for the Fulham game. Just want a result. Just want a predicted result for the Fulham game. And of course, tell us about your channel, how we can find you.
Yep, 3-1 Spurs win. I'm going for it. By the way, guys, before I go, I wanted to talk about another thing. Do you think Lo Celso can come into the midfield in some form of an arrangement, like let's say Lo Celso, Sarr, and Madison, something like that?
I heard people talk about it. He's back from he played for Argentina, didn't he? He got some game time for Argentina, so he's back fit. It's people have been talking about it. People have been talking about it.
I think he'd be better working along Basuma than Maddison. Because I think the most you get out of the Celso is when he's doing more of an attacking side. Because I don't really rate him on his defensive side. And when he plays for Argentina, he seems to like to get the ball forward from what I've seen. I'd rather play him next to Basuma than play him with Maddison. But he's another player we got. If we're not going to get rid of him, chances are we're going to need him in December time and everything.
Yep.
So
he is supposed to be the rotation option with Maddison. We saw it against Fulham in the Carabao Cup. He didn't start Maddison. He started Lo Celso in that position, and he was signed as a cam. So he is supposed to be that cam rotation for injuries. I don't think he's anywhere near good enough, and it's something we've got to look at in the January window as well. There's a lot of things we've got to look at in the January window as far as I'm concerned. That's another one. Because Maddison's picking up these little niggles. I'll be surprised if he doesn't get an injury up until the January transfer window. Talk about the January transfer window. You'll probably get one. You'll probably get a niggle. But it's a good point. We forget about Lo Celso. And in Elias, mate, I forget about Sessegnon. Whenever Sessegnon's name comes up, I'm like, oh, fuck me. Yeah, he is still a Spurs player. Yeah, he still is a Spurs player. So,
didn't know he played football anymore.
It's crazy.
You know, I mean, he's got wheat a bit.
Right, Elias, 3-1,
By the way,
3-1.
guys, I've got a. Yep, and you can find me at Step Up Spurs. Although I don't think I'll be doing any content anytime soon. Probably I'll see when I have much more, slightly more time in December. Then I'll start doing a lot more content there. Yeah, but in the meantime, stay strong, stay Spurs.
Take care, mate.
Peace out. Peace out. Oh bloody hell! I nearly pressed end stream there. That would have been a fucking error. We're coming to the end of the show, but we're not finished just yet. We're not finished just yet. I need to get all the boys' predictions in. Get your predictions in the chat as well. Make sure you don't you smash a like. As I say, it's quite a it's a weird time. Sunday 11 p.m. If you're watching on the recording when we get a lot of the views, make sure you hit a like and get in the comments too. Tell us what you've got to say. We'll respond. That's for sure. Right. So yeah, we've touched on Hotspur coming in tomorrow. I think most people would agree that he's the man. But Lo Celso could come into it. It's a good point from Elias. He could come into the discussion. Now, can we say if we win tomorrow, Dan? If we win tomorrow, we're in the title race. We're in the title race. We're on. Where would we be? 24 points. We'd be top, I think. 24 points.
We'd have had a brilliant start, and everyone's got their own opinion to a title race. I mean, if you want to be technical, you can say that there's 20 teams in the title race from the first game of the season. But if you want to be realistic about it, for me personally, it's when there's about 6 games to go and you're within, let's say, a 6.5 point sort of barrier as such that you can make up. That is when I say the title race really comes on and it shows who is really in this title race. You get others that, like last season, you can say Arsenal had a title race. Yes, they did. But I stated from day one, they're just holding that place warm for City, who will outdo them. And they did. But that was a title race they had. So far, so good is my saying with this, because it covers both sides. I'm not complaining about how we've done, but so far so good. Give it when we get to 20-25 games, then I will start making my proper assessment of how we're doing. But so far so good. I can't complain, and at the moment it's looking good.
I think most people would agree with that. I think people are getting excited after 3 or 4 games. People got excited under Nuno. People got excited under Nuno after 3 games, saying we're going to win the fucking league. So 9 games.
Everyone said it as soon as we got Conte in. Everyone was saying, right, we're going to win something now. We've been saying this for how many managers now and everything. It's so far so good, and that is what I think anybody should say, because it covers your backside, and it also makes you look that you're being slightly positive as well. But I've been a Spurs supporter for too long now. Call me negative, but I can't help but look over my shoulder. Can't help it. It's being a Spurs supporter. It's the way we've been for 20 odd years. But so far, so good.
I think we're probably pretty placid, level-headed Spurs fans, smarter than most Spurs fans on today's show. Not as fickle, let's say. Okay, I'll restructure this for you, Thiago. If we win tomorrow, 24 points, we're top of the table, would you be disappointed from this point? Would you be disappointed if we didn't make top 4? You're muted, or your microphones fell out.
No, I think he's muted.
Thiago, you're muted.
I was saying that you restructured the question really well, because that's a tough one. I don't know, to be honest.
I think you would. I think you would. It's in your eyes, but you don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
I think you would, but you don't want to admit
it. We haven't even got to get top 4. It's top 5 we got to get for Champions League.
I suppose.
At the beginning of the season, I had no trust at all in this team. For me, I never imagined we were going to be in this position in the first place. So I don't know how to behave, to be honest. It's so surreal what's happening in Tottenham right now. But one thing I want to see from us, for me to really think that we could maybe you remember like the Avengers movies, like Doctor Strange saying there was like 6 million different scenarios and there was only one where the Avengers would win. That's Tottenham nowadays. And for that one scenario to happen, I really want to see a game where we're going to win and just control the game, because we haven't done that since the Burnley game. Because Sheffield, it was like the 100th minute of the game that we scored the winning goal. Arsenal, we didn't win.
It was the 100th minute till we scored our first goal against Sheffield United,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And then against Arsenal was a draw. Against Liverpool was an own goal at the end. And then Luton, we struggled a lot to beat them. So I want to see an easy win to see that we actually can do it. But yeah, to be honest, Tommy, I'm going to get out of the wall here. Yes, I would be disappointed. I'm not going to lie.
It's difficult not to be. It's difficult not to be. Your aspirations do change as a fan, even early on in the season. It really does. I think it's not just the results or the points. It's sort of the way we're playing. It's definitely the way we're playing that it does something to you. It does something to you.
Yeah, there's a lot more positive to it at the moment, but
Yeah.
I just think a lot of Spurs supporters need to wind their neck in a bit and stop talking about how we're going for the title this year and we're going to have it, because there's been so many out there at the moment that keep going on about how like we're going to take City to like Liverpool did to the last point and that. I mean, Thiago, you were saying fourth place, whatever.
Fifth. It's fifth now, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, Dan's right. Fifth gets into Champions League now.
But what I was going to say to just finish was, for me, it just... I think the main reason for my disappointment is because I didn't expect us to be in this position in the first place.
Agreed.
I know that as a Spurs fan, it's the hope that kills you. I 100% know that. 100% know it.
It's true. It's true.
You know, it's just, let's be honest, guys. The three of us, who would have thought that going into the 9th game of the season, we could be 2 points clear at the top of the table? Nobody thought we were going to.
Not a chance in hell.
And we've had tough games in those nights. Look, we have had tough games in those in those games as well. We really have.
But
Arsenal, Liverpool,
and like a lot of people are saying, oh, Spurs still didn't play City, they didn't play Newcastle, Brighton, Villa. But even Burnley was a game that we were scared of at the beginning of the season. We were thinking, oh, can we actually go to Turf Moor and get a result? And we went there and we beat them 5-2. Nobody was expecting that before the season started, you know. So
Brentford
for me,
don't lose at home.
What?
Brentford's never an easy game playing them away.
Yeah.
it is this
Arsenal-
season. Brentford, other than yesterday, have been fucking awful. But they have their good games. They are, Brentford do have their good
Well,
games.
by their history of last season and that at home, they've been a force and a half.
Yeah, no, they've been
Yeah,
very
that's
good.
true.
They've been very good.
But again, I even though I think we need to give credit to the team for getting the results, I'm still gonna stick to the position of we're still gonna have a lot of tough games.
But
in the
Thiago,
future.
look at the top 10 here. Look at that is a good top 10. This is the strongest top 10 I've seen in the Premier League. If you just West Ham, I think they've signed brilliantly since they sold Declan Rice. Mohamed Kudus can't get into the team. They've got Paqueta. Ward Prowse looks brilliant. Jared Bowen as an inside forward.
What was the result today, by the way?
They lost
Villa.
4-1 to
They
Villa.
lost.
They lost 4-1 to Villa, but Villa's another one. Villa's a very, very good team.
They're
Brighton
looking-
Yeah, but
struggling
Villa,
at the moment.
look at Villa the other week. They went and got spanked. How much?
Exactly.
They
This
did.
is where what Dan says is true. Comes into it. Any team can beat any team. Not just beat any team, can spank another team on any given Sunday because it's the Premier League and just the strength of that top 10. Chelsea, West Ham, Man United, all of them. If any of them teams won 5 on the bounce, you wouldn't be surprised. If any of those 5 teams beat Man City, you wouldn't be surprised. And then you've got obviously ourselves, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. That's a tough top 10. And I said before the season started, if we get top 6, I think Ange's done a good job. Considering where we were, 8th, I think he's done a good job. So regardless of whether we get top 4 or not, and regardless of my thoughts, I hope Spurs fans don't get carried away with this. I'm not getting carried away. I hope Spurs fans don't. Because if Spurs fans do, I know how it turns after 3 games. 3 bad losses. It's Ange out. And that's what we can't be. We have to change that mentality. And the sooner we do that, I think we'll have a successful side. And we have to realise that there may be some errors. We've got some young players. There may be some errors made.
Do you guys think that maybe Ange has bought himself some time? Let's say that things start going south from now on. Do you think Spurs fans knowing what he can do with the squad, by the way we've played in the first 8 games, do you think people would have a little bit more patience with him now, or you still think that it would change like this?
If it goes by injuries, then yeah. But I think the way he shot himself in the foot was, I'd say we had a good chance of winning that League Cup if we was going to win anything. And I feel that was his perfect chance to give himself a bit of backup, basically, that if he won the League Cup for us and we finished 10th even, as an example, I think there's a majority of Spurs fans out there who'd say, do you know what? He won us a cup. Who cares about what we've done in the league? Because I'm at the stage now where I'd say if we could win the League Cup and finish 10th or 11th, I'm more than happy. And then we can concentrate on the Champions League and that again, because we've just got no silverware. So I feel with that League Cup one was where he could have really bought himself some time. But at the moment, the way we're playing is what everybody wanted. So he's won half the fan base over straight away, which was relatively easy because all he had to do was play attacking football. And then, as long as it's down to injuries that things go a bit tits up, I think he's bought himself plenty of time, and he will be here next season.
The truth is in the time. The time when if it comes to the stage we start losing, if we lose 2, 3, or let's say we don't win in 4 games. I don't think we probably might not lose 3 games on the bounce this season. I doubt we will. Just say we don't win for 3 or 4 games. Will Ange's style of football change? Will it change? Because we don't know. No. It's easy to say no, but when you start losing points in the Premier League and your job's on the line, you will have to claw things back slightly. You have to change. You have to adapt as a manager. How far you adapt is different. Will Ange completely change his philosophy, or will he not? That is one of the biggest.
But he will change players. For me, one thing that differs from Conte, and I think, of course, Conte also had to do a little bit with the quality of the options. But I think if we go 3 games without a win, I think Ange would not think twice on changing the players, trying a different player, or Brandon Johnson's not working, bring Richarlison back, bring in Manor Solomon, or Sar's not working, let's try Højbjerg, let's try Bentancur. I don't think he would be afraid of doing that, but I don't think he would change the philosophy. Maybe the formation, yes, but the philosophy.
I totally agree. I think he's one that's got the bottle to say, well, do you know what? You ain't doing it too tough at the moment. Let's give you a go. I think he's got the bottle to do that.
I hope so.
His philosophy, I don't think that will change for nothing.
I think you have to change. I disagree with. I would want him to change certain things against certain teams. I think you've got to change little details from time to time, but don't completely change your philosophy. I agree. It's like So I watch a lot of sports, and I see you do have to change philosophy. It's like Mike Tyson rightly said. Everyone's got a plan till they get punched. So let's wait till we get punched, and then let's see what the plans are. Because this is the Premier League. This isn't the SPL. This isn't Japan or Australia. We have to see how he reacts. We have to see how he reacts after things start going south. That's the true judgment of any manager. When things are going well, it's fantastic. When things are going badly, what do you do? And Ange looks like just the way he goes about his conferences, pre-match and post-match, that he will keep things largely the same. And I hope he does. And if we start losing 4-5-0 in games, again, the Spurs fans got to try and stick with it. We've got to try and stick with this guy. If you want to see attacking football, there's no real better option, it seems, right now. So a lot of it's for Spurs fans.
I think he's won enough of the fans over. Like I said, even if we would have been, say, 7th place now, in some ways, for me, Postecoglou had one of the easiest jobs a manager's ever had.
Yeah.
In the reason being, as all he had to do was one thing, and that was play some attacking football. He already won half the fan base over. Now, I'm not discrediting the fella in any way. He has done an epic job so far. So far, so good, mate. I am over the moon with him. But in some ways, he did have a piss easy job. Just changed the style of football, and he'd already won half, maybe even 3/4 of the fans over. And if we was in 8th place now, but still playing attacking football, I think you'd still see just as many fans happy.
I think it's true.
Such.
I definitely agree. It's not like
so I'm not slating him in any way, but
I'm taking over.
He had one of the easiest jobs ever.
Alex Ferguson at Man United. No, It's not. It's not like David Moyes taking over from Sir Alex Ferguson. He's taking over from Mason in 8th. Stellini, Mason in 8th. So no, it is. It is. He's got a good opportunity, and to be fair, I think he's got some players that I think previous managers would have loved. I think Van der Ven, Vicario. I think players. Poro. I think Conte. And some of the players before him would have loved those players.
If Conte would have played Basuma the right
Madison
way, it would have been just as good.
Madison as well. Who wouldn't want Madison? So,
Well, no one else did except Newcastle.
We've got some good players. Yeah, nobody else did but Newcastle. So it's a weird one.
I've been screaming for Madison since Leicester had his first season with him. I've been screaming to get him at bloody Spurs. And in the England team.
It is very, very surprising. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised Man United didn't. As I said, they had too many cams. But then you think,
well,
would you take Mount or Madison? You look at Man United, just take Mount. They've made some big errors, Man United. They could have got Kane. They could have got Kane and Madison. They got Mount and Højlund. You know what I'm saying?
You see,
it's
the problem
crazy.
at Spurs has been is we was gifted, but what should I call this? Platinum handcuffs. And that was Harry Kane. I was one of the firm believers, and I've said it enough times, that Spurs will play better as a team overall without Harry Kane. Why? Because they need to do something and not just rely on Harry Kane. Now, the thing we had with Harry Kane, we had a 9 and a 10 all in one. He was good enough at coming back and being our playmaker and our main striker. So now Harry Kane's gone. We needed that playmaker more than ever now. Yes, we need someone who can score the goals. We got Son there, but we needed a play. I don't think they bothered so much with a playmaker because Harry Kane done that job.
Yeah. So
I
agree with that. I definitely
But that
agree
is what I'm talking about on the platinum handcuff side of Harry Kane. In his own way, I'm glad he's gone. Because now the whole team can open up as a more. And they haven't just got to look for Harry Kane all the time at the moment. Right, here save our backside, here save our ass, or here set that. They'll look to pass it maybe over to the left or over to the right or here, there, or everywhere. Not just look for Harry Kane all the time. That's why I'm glad he's gone. He's been excellent for us. But yeah, Madison.
I feel I'm not glad he's gone. I can't be on that boat. I can't be on the I'm glad he's gone boat. But I do agree with, I think you look at the squad and you think, right, we haven't got assists or goals now, so we need to get Madison in. That's the way Levy saw it. It should have been, let's get Madison while Kane's there. And let's get a manager that's going to play a 4-2-3-1 like we did with Poch, have Eriksen sitting behind Kane, and then
that would have been brilliant.
You're loving life. You're loving life.
It wasn't going to happen.
It's one or the other. It was one or the other, wasn't it? And let's face it, Kane started well for Bayern Munich. I think he's got, 9 goals and 5 assists in 8 games?
Yeah, but come on, man. You or Thiago could go out to Bayern Munich and be bloody good out there.
Not not many strikers get 9 goals, 4 assists for Bayern.
He's done good there. But look, for a player of his caliber, he could go anywhere and be good. He is what you call a world-class player. For me, he is a better football player than Haaland. Haaland, epic at scoring goals. Harry Kane is a better player overall at what he's capable of doing. Some people would say I'm crazy, but each to their own at the end of the day. But come on, going to Bayern Munich, mate, me and you could go there and score goals, and Thiago could be our main playmaker there, whatever, yeah? Bayern Munich are just that far ahead.
I couldn't. I think I might be the worst football player in the world.
All right, I thought he was disagreeing with the point. It was just disagreeing with his
but look,
lack of talent.
Go and stick any three of us PSG or Bayern Munich, and you can say we're going to win a league and a cup. It's different. He's
scoring. He's showing that his form
good.
Isn't just for Spurs. It's for England, Bayern. For anywhere he goes, he will score. Harry Kane. So he will anywhere he goes,
and he will set it up. He will make goals as well. That is why he's more of a complete player. That is why he is actually world class.
And this is why
I think world class is used way too easy.
An outstanding cam with him in his prime. Imagine Kane, Son, Madison in the prime. It would have been unbelievable, but he fucked up. We went 500 days without signing, and we just been messing up the cam position ever since. Right, okay. After the Fulham game, just 4 days later, we got Palace.
Ouch.
What do you think about this, Thiago, having a game so soon after? Annoyed by it? Is it a conspiracy? A lot of Spurs fans are calling it a conspiracy. We got Monday night football, then we got Friday night football. Does it worry you? with this squad? That we got a game so soon after, let's say.
It doesn't worry me. I just think it's a little bit weird because we're gonna play Monday, Friday, and then we're gonna play Monday again. Why couldn't we just play today, for example? But
it's a bit strange, isn't it? It's TV.
Yeah.
It's all down to TV rights.
And like I think on Saturday we had games like Bournemouth and Wolves. They could have played today. They don't have European matches midweek, but they just put 8 games in one day. But to be honest, no, it doesn't worry me. I think it gives us a little bit more time and rest after the international break for the players who are, for example, Son was in South Korea, Romero was here in South America, gives them more time to recover for tomorrow's match. And, at some point we're going to have lots of games in a row. Like Dan said, December we're going to have 7 games. So we're probably going to have to face those situations, and we need to get ready for that because we don't have European matches. So we need to work on the squad fitness, squad rotation. But I think it's fine. The time difference is fine. 3 full days. Yeah.
It's no different from playing Champions League and playing on a Sunday, or playing UEFA Cup or whatever and playing on a Sunday. To me, I totally agree with you. It's neither here nor there. But just think of it this way. I don't think the FA are being biased towards us or teaming up against us or nothing. Doesn't everyone remember? They're already doing that to Liverpool. So, like when
people will throw at you that it's a conspiracy. What I will say is it is very weird. It's very weird that we're playing Monday night football, which is an exclusive, not every week, but most weeks, one game, and then a very much an exclusive Friday night football, which happens once a month or once every 3 weeks. We're going from the Monday to the Friday, playing both exclusive weeks. That is odd, very, very odd. And I want to know how many times that's happened. But I don't think it's conspiracy against Spurs. It's fucking rubbish.
It's not conspiracy.
Who cares about Spurs? We don't fucking win anything. We never won anything.
TV.
Who cares about
TV? Look, if we done TV the same way they do it in America. Now, the way I watch a majority of my games is I watch it through Peacock USA. And all you need for that is a VPN. And you basically, all the games are being played and you just pick what game you want to watch. Live, there it is. And then from your phone or your iPad, you just stream it onto your TV. $4.99 a month, dollars. Easy. In England, we have it of this way of they just turn the games round to match TV times or whatever and try not to play none of the 3 o'clock games because they're scared of people not going to the games and watching it at home and that.
Yeah.
They should just do it like every other country basically does and play on a Saturday and Sunday. And there you go, stick them all on there. Whoever wants to watch their team play can watch their team play. But do you know what the biggest problem is with it? It's called Sky Sports. That is why this sort of stuff happens. Purely because of that. And certain people want to see the bigger games. That's why you usually get at least one of the big games or both of the big games on a Sunday, isn't it? That's down to
the
Sky
early
Sports.
kickoffs on a Saturday. The early kickoff on a Saturday works out a good time in China. And that's where they get
it's all down to Sky Sports. It's all down to TV.
What happens in Brazil is a little bit different because we also have the broadcast for all games, but the difference is that, for example, let's say Vasco is going to play in Rio, which is where they're from. So the game is not on like live TV only for the states of Rio. All other states have it. Just Rio that doesn't, because then people from Rio will go to the stadium to watch. I don't know if that happens in England, but in Brazil, that's how it happens. The state the club is from doesn't have the live game. You have to, on normal TV, you have to pay for it. And it's weird. It's a little bit weird. But nowadays in Brazil, it's funny because during preseason, I had all Tottenham games for free, pretty much, to watch, and some English fans didn't. But most days I use Star Plus because they have all the Premier League games there. It's better, doesn't stop. And if you guys want, you can sign it as well. And because it's in reais, it's really, really cheap for you. Maybe like pounds, £4.
We can't discuss this on live TV, Dan, on live YouTube with WTP, but get at Dan. Dan's got a Twitter now, haven't you? Get at Dan on Twitter, DM him. He'll sort you out. He'll
Well,
sort
if
you out.
anyone-
Twitter then.
But my own.
If
Sorry,
anyone
Dan.
wants to know anything on how to do it and how to get it all, contact me on an email or whatever. There will be one on this and that, and I will show you how to do it. It's very easy.
There you go.
What I actually want to know is who threatened Dan for him to get a Twitter for himself.
I did to begin with. I think Dan's just starting out. I'm not sure what Dan said.
Yeah.
I think he's just starting out and they're finding his.
Yeah, I've just set up the thing on Twitter and whatever, and I'm just it's one thing I've never really used. So it's yeah. So I'll be doing a lot more on there. And like I said, if anyone needs to know anything about what I previously just said, I will tell them how to do it, and it literally takes 15 minutes at the most.
There you go. Dan's put it in there. He's put it in the chat. He's put in the chat what it is. I don't want to say it. They're so anal about monetization now. On YouTube.
This one is perfectly legal to state because you're just saying a legal thing, and it is legal that anybody can have a VPN because it's down to privacy.
Right. So my final say on the matter before we get into predictions for the Fulham game, just to carry on with this Crystal Palace thing. A lot of people talking about it today, the 3-game gap. I'm with both of you boys and Thiago especially. Like, I'm not bothered. We've got these games coming up. We've got a lot of games coming up in Christmas. We'll have to get used to it. It's 2 or 3 times, 3 games in a week. So I think we're all in that agreement. You know, it's all a bit pointless moaning. 6 games in 2 weeks come the Christmas time. It's crazy. There is no conspiracy. Before we get the boys' predictions, we're almost 2 hours into the show. I don't know how we got to 2 hours. It's gone so quick. Not a great deal to talk about, to be fair. I think I was sticking up for Skip maybe a little bit too long. Maybe it was a half an hour of sticking up for Ollie Skip. The hate towards Ollie Skip is there. It's there. I think that's how we got through the stream for such a long time. So if you are still with us or if you're watching the recording, please make sure you smash that like before we go. My prediction for tomorrow, I actually think it's going to be a rather easy scoreline. I think it's going to be a good score. I think it's going to be like 2-0. Comfortable, clean sheet. Son and Romero back, massive pluses. It's not for definite. I think they're going to have late fitness tests. But if they're there, I'm convinced they'll win. And I think we can win games without Basuma. I think Basuma is an incredible player. I think the way the team's set up, we can win games without Basuma. And I'll include Chelsea in that too. So I've got a funny feeling it's going to be a struggle. Will be a relative struggle at times. I think we'll nick it 2-0 or 2-1. I want to say 2-0. Clean sheet. And a big one is Fulham not having Mitrovic. Mitrovic bullies centre-backs. He's very, very good in the air. And Romero's not great in the air. And Van der Ven, the biggest criticism of Van der Ven I've heard
is in the air.
People that watch
is
his aerial ability. So Mitrovic worries me. Jimenez is in that bracket, but since Jimenez had his skull injury, he's not as dominant in the air, and you can see why. We talk about trauma for injuries. I mean, fucking hell. He broke his skull, nearly died. So I'd rather have Jimenez there.
Same as Peter Cech.
And they played someone else against us in the Carabao Cup, didn't they? Who just wasn't very good, was he? Jimenez didn't play. When Fulham beat us, they played like a backup striker, and he wasn't great either. So I like our chances. We should get a victory. We're at home, which means we'll probably lose 4-0. But Dan, your prediction tomorrow?
2-1 Spurs, and I think it's another one where it's going to be messy, is what I'm going to say with that. Because I think they're definitely going to come in, and first things they're going to do is like Luton and Sheffield, and that's done for Maddison, and try and take him out. Because that's the way some of the smaller teams do it. Because they don't have the skill on the pitch, they outmuscle it. I mean, look, I used to love it when Spurs used to play Stoke or Bolton, because the first thing Stoke and Bolton done was went for the kneecaps with Arsenal at every time, because they were such a physically weak team, just very skillful. I think it's going to be a bloody hard game, and I'd still see us getting through it 2-1.
2-1. Okay, no one's predicting draws or losses, even in the chat, I don't think. Richo63, our stadium is now looking amazing on the Royal Blue Mersey. Everton fan, Richo, how you doing, mate? Yeah, it does look stunning. The pictures I've seen, it looks beautiful.
It does.
I mean, I grew up by the sea, and I love anything coastal related. I'm a fan of, and you don't see too many stadiums like that. So that's why, for me, Craven Cottage is one of the best. It's on the River Thames, on the River Thames. The West Stand of Craven Cottage and the Pavilion, one of the best stadiums I've been to, and it looks beautiful. Whether you're going to be in the league or not, the Premier League to enjoy it, I don't know. Looking at the table, Richo, you're 16th. You've had 2 years. You've struggled to stay in the Premier League for 2 years. Should be all right because it's Luton, Burnley, Bournemouth, Sheffield United. It's a very poor bottom four. All teams would beat, by the way. Can't say it, but all teams would beat. So, yeah. No, actually, we haven't beat all of them, have we? Or have we? Oh, we did, yeah. Yeah, Luton, Burnley, Bournemouth. Yeah, we beat all of them, to be fair. So it's going to be tough for you boys, but I can't wait to see new stadium. Great new stadium. So I've said 2-0. Dan's 2-1. Elias said 3-1. Thiago?
I'm going to go with Elias 3-1. I think it's going to be one of those games. It's going to be close, but then in the end, we're going to score the goals and get the win. And just about this relegation fight talk was funny because in the summer, not everybody, but a lot of people were advocating for us to sign Vincent Kompany, get him out of Burnley, and
very true.
Yeah, it's been shocking. The guy,
true, very true.
It's interesting. I was one person that, at some point, I think I was just so like. I don't even know the word, but it was just so hopeless in a way that it was like, yeah, bring him in. Who cares at this point?
This is our best option at this time. A manager that's never managed in the Premier League.
Yeah,
and he didn't
that's
do
what
great.
I had.
With Anderlecht, they finished 3rd or 4th. His job previously wasn't great there.
At the end of the day, I'm not employing a manager that wears a suit with trainers.
Yeah. I mean, that is all the crack these days. That is all the crack these days.
No. If you want to wear your tracksuit and that, I'm cool. I don't care. If you want to wear your suit, I'm cool, yeah? But if you want to wear trainers with a bloody suit, don't walk into my place because it ain't happening.
Have you seen the documentary? I haven't seen the documentary yet. Burnley documentary.
No, I can't say I have, mate.
Have you not? Yeah, I ain't interested in that sort of thing, but it was well over the top. It always is. Scott Parker, when he got promoted the first time, he was an ex-Spurs player as well. Everyone was like, get Scott Parker, must get Scott Parker. And you got give the guy time. Give him 6 months in the league. Within a month, he was sacked. So, yeah. So they've got to learn their trade in the Premier League.
And it's funny how Spurs fans, it usually goes the wrong way because one manager that a lot of Spurs fans a few years ago didn't want was Eddie Howe. And then he's coming at Newcastle. He doesn't have all the stars in the world.
Oh no, Thiago! All the Spurs fans will tell you now we should have got Eddie Howe. We should have got Eddie Howe.
Now they will, but at the time people were saying, "Oh, he did well with Bournemouth, but still fighting his relegation every year. He's not."
Nobody in this fan base wanted Eddie Howe before Newcastle came in, and many of them will trick you to say that they
very
did.
true.
And that's what I'm saying. The manager Spurs fans didn't want is now doing really well. The managers that Spurs fans want, they just turn out shit. Like Scott Parker. Oh, he beat Liverpool at Anfield with Fulham once. And there was all that speech before the game. The videos. Oh, imagine him giving that speech to Harry Kane.
He wears nice suits.
Exactly. Where is he now, by the way? Do you guys know?
He went to Belgium last year, didn't he? But I think he got sacked there as well. He went to Belgium briefly. I think he might be a national team now. I'm not sure. Let's look this up.
Let's see.
I think he did go to he might have gone to a national team. I know Gerrard's in Saudi Arabia, isn't he?
Scott Parker. He's an English professional player, blah, blah, blah.
He definitely went to a Belgium club last season. I think he fouled.
I think he's unemployed now.
It probably is.
Because how it says, like, he recently managed Club Brugge in Belgium.
Yeah, he was in Belgium.
He's unemployed now, I think.
He was he's actually, he's done all right. He got Bournemouth promoted and Fulham promoted, didn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not made for the
Yeah, but
Premier League.
again,
Very few managers
no.
are, to be fair.
And the other thing is, being Tottenham supporters, one thing we are definitely bad for is where nothing's happened for such a long time, we want things yesterday. And we've tried it that way and didn't back up the way it was meant to be. Because if you're going to employ Mourinho or Conte, they are more than capable of pulling something off, but you're going to have to spend a couple of $100 million with them. It hasn't worked that way. It hasn't worked another way. I think we've gone back to the smarter way of doing it. Basically, getting the less expensive players and do it more of a Brighton way.
Obviously, it's smarter and cheaper. Better. So it's smarter and cheaper. So Levy loves it if it works.
Exactly. This is why I think Angie's going to get.
Then you have to start spending more money.
Look, this is where Angie's going to get backed up by Levy 90%, in my opinion, because, like I've said before on shows, he is what you would call a Brighton manager. He has not been at a big club, if that's what you want to call Spurs. We are for money, not for much else. Where he's had, let's say, 100 million in the bank. Now, for a lot of teams and a lot of things, 100 million isn't much. But for him, it'll be like, wow. And he's obviously scouted his own things. He's also got his own scouts and that. He will know certain players out there that we will get for 15, 20 million, and they have got high potential of coming good because he did it at Celtic and he's had to do it at smaller clubs. And that's going to be perfectly up Levy's street. And I think he'll be quite happy to go out and spend 60 million on three players, on three good players. And whereas someone like Conte or Mourinho wants every player to cost 100 million. But even if Ange does do that, you're still going to get the Spurs supporters out there wanting the 70 million and the 80 million player and that. We're one of the worst for it. We really are. I think we should just go with this system, this process, this whatever we're doing it.
I think
take it as it comes, and I personally think Angie's going to come good. How far he can take us, let's see. But again, so far so good.
I think in just argument with that point slightly with the whole Conte and Mourinho, I think they do want the money. They do, but they want to win league titles. That's the difference. They know that you're going to have to spend £500 million to win a league title at Spurs. Postecoglou's ambition isn't to win a league title. His ambition is to top 4, top 6. With that, you can go for the younger players and then maybe move up there slowly and go for the title. But Jose wins titles everywhere he goes. Jose wins league titles everywhere he goes. So they want that £100 million because they want to win league title now. They don't need the project for 3 or 4 or 5 years' time. That's the way they've always done things. So, and hopefully we'll get backed. And that, yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean with a lot of money, but I would hope we do spend a fair amount of money this January because there are players, you know, there are centre-backs, cams, as we said, centre-mids, possibly the African Cup of Nations coming up. It doesn't matter about the money. If they're good enough, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If you do your recruitment properly and thoroughly,
exactly,
they don't have to be £100 million signings. But let's hope
so
they do it. Let's hope it's thorough research and not just cheap because they're cheap. And we can say, oh, well, they're cheap.
Exactly.
They must be good.
Same as playing a youth player, yeah? I want us to play youth players. But the reason I want us to play youth players is because they're good enough to play. Not because we've got no other bloody option but to play a youth player.
And also, people get confused with, if you sign a cheap player, they're going to be a Brighton player. No. If you sign a cheap player, sometimes they're just a cheap player and they won't be good enough. You've got to, you know, it's got to be thorough. It's not just, he's cheap. That's what Brighton have done. So, you know, you can buy my mate Andy, he's 45, you know, 20 stone in goal. He would do a job for you. He's free, but just because he's free doesn't mean he's gonna offer you anything. It's got to be the right free player. You have to do your due diligence, and that's what we should be doing now. We should be proactive. The whole scouting staff. We've got a new director of football in place. Should be proactive for as soon as that January window opens. Essential we get that centre back. Essential we get that centre back.
Brian said it perfect the other day. The transfers need to be made within the first week of January, not the last bloody day.
But and you can do all the work up until that point now, can't you?
Of course you can. Exactly.
Now. Yeah.
You can even start buying a player now. It doesn't have to all be official. You can go to a club and exactly. So let's just hope we get it right and it goes good. And from what I see in January is when I will start judging on what this club is doing and how it's going to back the manager, if it's going to back the manager, and how we go from there. January is where we will really see where Tottenham are looking at going.
And that's a great place to end tonight's show. I think perfect place to wrap the show up. So from one of the most negative YouTube channels you'll find, the Hotspur Hood, we've all predicted wins. We've all predicted victories tonight. I'm hearing it's the most negative, this, that, and the other. Fantastic. It's good to be the best of anything. So if we're the best at being negative, then wonderful. But we've all predicted victories tomorrow. And we all need this club to succeed. We're all massive, we're all big Spurs fans, as everyone is, other than probably Richo in the in the chat. So big up Richo, big up everyone for watching. Please make sure you hit the like if you haven't already done so. I think we're on 27 likes. Get us up to 30. Get us up to 30 before we go. Make sure you subscribe. Sorry.
One thing I want to mention on here quickly is that I've got a show set up and waiting to go sometime next week with somebody who is telling me this.
Now that is an exclusive, if there ever was one, a Richarlison fan.
Yes, a very big fan she is as well. She's a friend of my wife, and I've said to her, well, you're saying all this, would you be willing to come on a show and do it? She's like, hell yeah. I'm like, I've set it up. Let's have it out next week. So hopefully next week at some time, I will make the show live, and me and Britt will go toe-to-toe on why she thinks Richarlison should stay and why I think he should go.
Even the best Brazilian Spurs YouTuber we have, Thiago, thinks Richarlison's shit. So
I do.
There you have it. Look, he's sitting there with a Vasco shirt. Yeah, listen to Thiago. That'll be fun. That'll be fun all the same. So yeah, cheers for watching, everyone. Yeah, keep up to date. If you put the notification bell on, you're notified of all the future shows we've got coming up. Tuesday will be N17 Effect. We go about 8-9 p.m. We'll call that the magazine show. It's a show we do every week. So make sure you join us for that. It'll be a lot of fun. We always try and get that. You always get fiery. Always gets fiery. We get a good panel on the Tuesday night show and all shows like tonight. Thiago, I guess you're not doing a great deal on the football side of things, but thanks very much for coming. Well, we've got to follow your Twitter. You're still tweeting away, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. It's been a little bit tough to stream nowadays because I started working, and let's say the workload has been quite big. But yeah, I'm always available to come on shows. I always like talking about Tottenham. I'm still making podcasts with Brazil Spurs. We're trying to get Lucas Moura to go on a podcast.
You're still doing it now. You're still going. You're still going with that. Is that weekly, fortnightly, or is it just random?
No, we're actively trying to create content. We're going to start making recorded content as well. We're going to invest on material. We're going to make tactical reveals, but it's going to be in Portuguese, of course, for Brazilian fans. But we are already the best. We get all the ESPN commentators have gone on the podcast already. We've got a few players, Sandro, Gomes, Gilberto, all these guys have been there. We're trying Lucas, but his agent has been a bit rude, let's say.
Is his agent not Gomez, eh?
Yeah, he just doesn't respond us. Even though we say we're an official supporters group, they just don't respond us. And next year, Brazil Spurs will be at the Tottenham Stadium for the North London Derby. I think about 25 people are going. So far, that's what's confirmed. Could go up to 40, 50 people. So if you hear a lot of noise, it's Brazilian fans.
Wow. I'm sure. Look, follow Thiago. He's quite big on the Twitter stratosphere. Thiago, T-Basks, THFC. Type that into X, if you want to call it X now. And you'll see everything he's up to, I'm sure. And he's always been welcome in this show. He's always welcome in this show. Thiago's been on it fucking hundreds of times. So, yeah, peace out, Thiago. Peace out, everyone else, and stay classy. As always, everyone. We'll probably see you Tuesday. Peace out, everyone. Nice one, chaps. Do you know